A pool stick in a church playroom randomly snaps in half without anyone near it, and the church is already known for decades of paranormal stories. A hospital security guard watches a wheelchair turn itself around in the middle of an empty room, and in Pakistan a motorcycle appears to roll and tip over by itself. This is disturbing surveillance footage experts can't debunk. What in the world is going on with this pool stick? This one comes from Reddit user Pumpkin Man, who shared the footage along with the caption, "I have a video of surveillance camera footage capturing a pool stick inexplicably snap itself in half on the leg of a pool table. This happened in a children's playroom at a small rural church. There have been dozens of other incidents of paranormal activity at this church, spanning multiple decades. The people, who I know personally, that took this video and work at this church fully believe the place is haunted by a child ghost." Now, I gotta say, I've seen some paranormal videos on this channel before. This one's up there for me. This is pretty weird. The way that thing's moving sounds like they believe what they're seeing. This next video comes from a hospital. A security guard was doing his rounds when he came across this wheelchair in the middle of the room. So he stands there, scratching his head, probably wondering what it's doing sitting there, but then it starts to move. At first he doesn't notice it, but when he turns back to look at the chair, it's of course now facing in the total opposite direction, so all he can do is stand there stunned, likely too petrified to move. It's bad enough worrying about your bike getting stolen as it is without ghosts getting involved. This security footage was captured in Pakistan back in 2020. So what in the world? Now, there doesn't seem to be any strong winds blowing. Of course, there's nobody nearby either. Nothing that would cause the bike to roll on its own like that and then fall to the ground. So what happened? Was a ghost trying to steal someone's bike, then realized that they had no clue how to ride and just ditched it? Probably. But what do you all think? Thoughts in the comments, please. This one comes from Reddit user Signal Pollution 4881, who says he used to work at a haunted movie theater. He shared this security footage of something seeming to move past the camera. Take a look at this. Now, this footage on its own, I mean, it's weird, but it's not that crazy, right? Well, the backstory, there's a lot going on. So he and his brother worked the night shift cleaning the theater, and from their first shift, something felt off. During that first night, the uploader heard a baby crying in an empty auditorium, even though the building had been closed for hours. He searched the entire place, but it was empty. And over the next several months, they experienced odd things, doors opening and closing on their own, unexplained footsteps in the upstairs projector room. Eventually, even his brother, who'd been skeptical at first, became convinced that something was definitely wrong. About 6 or 7 months in, the uploader was alone upstairs when he saw a black figure about 20 feet away. It seemed to have no face. It was just this eerie, shadowy mass. Terrified, he ran off without even saying a word to his brother. From then on, he constantly felt like he was being watched through the projection windows. About a year later, his brother saw a thick black smoke cloud form out of nowhere in the bathroom before vanishing. Shaken, they finally started talking about their experiences. They kept working there though, because the pay was decent and the shifts were short. The activity mostly quieted down, just the occasional mysterious footstep. Sometimes they'd see things moving and would hear disembodied voices. This video came later after they'd already quit. It was sent to him by a former coworker around Halloween and seems to show the same black figure he once saw in the projection booth. These creepy images were shared to X by Scared for Life 2, who wrote that their friend works at Central Library in Manchester. In October of 2019, the uploader popped in for a visit, and the friends shared these images. They came from the security camera in the basement corridors. Now, I don't know about this place having any history of paranormal activity, but it was built in 1934, not super old, especially by England standards, but it is enough time to have racked up some history. And if anyone had died in the building, or was just someone who had a fondness for the place, maybe they never left. Remember the Myrtles Plantation? I've talked about it on the channel a number of times. It's said to be one of the most haunted places in the United States. Well, now we have some footage. This security camera happened to pick up something incredibly startling during a tour, right in the middle of the day. So the group is standing in the foyer. They're slowly making their way deeper into the home, very slowly, as this is not a group of spring chickens. And then suddenly, this happens. So a series of super loud bangs on the wall are heard, the mirror shakes violently, and then a sculpture falls down. Now, could this have been staged? There's always the possibility, but I hope that's not the case, because if it was, that was pretty messed up. You really shouldn't be playing pranks on old folks like this, especially with loud bangs. On June 8th, 1996, 23-year-old Jane Rimmer was out in Claremont, a suburb of Perth, spending the night drinking and moving between spots with friends. They started at the Continental Hotel, then headed toward a club called Bayview, but never actually went inside. Instead, they drifted around, eventually ending up back at the Continental around midnight. Jane decided she was done for the night and planned to head home on her own. Her friends left in a taxi, and that was the last time anyone who knew her saw her alive. CCTV outside the hotel picked up what happened next. A man, still unidentified to this day, walks up and starts talking to her. It doesn't look confrontational. They seem to be having a normal conversation, but then the camera angle changes, and when it cuts back, both of them are gone. The footage never shows them leaving. It's like they just stepped out of the frame and vanished. Nearly 2 months later, on August 3rd, Jane's body was found over 40 kilometers away, in a remote area far from where she was last seen. Her case is believed to be tied to the Claremont who targeted young women in the same area. To this day, though, that man has never been identified. This footage comes from Bianca5150 on Reddit. The uploader explained that she and her girlfriend had been dealing with something in their house, tearing things up, and they couldn't figure out which of their dogs was responsible. To catch it in the act, they set up a camera before leaving the house for a short time. They were only gone for about 20 minutes. While they were out though, Bianca received a notification from the camera. When she went back and carefully reviewed the footage, she noticed something strange. Down the hallway near the doorframe, there appeared to be a figure, and it was not one of their dogs. So, who or what was it? No one else was home at the time. Bianca pointed out that she had multiple cameras set up around the house, and none of them showed anyone entering or leaving during that time. According to her, there was no sign of a break-in or movement on any of the other cameras, just this mysterious shadow figure creeping through the hallway in this one piece of footage. On February 17th, 2004, something strange went down in a supermarket in Yokkaichi-me Prefecture in Japan. An older man and a young woman with a baby strapped to her chest suddenly got into a physical altercation. The woman started yelling, "Thief!" so people nearby jumped in and pinned the man down. When police showed up, they were pretty rough with him. The 68-year-old ended up vomiting and passing out. By the next day, he was dead from heart failure. The woman and the baby were already gone, but when investigators checked the CCTV footage from the Jusco supermarket, they were shocked to see the actual sequence of events played out very differently than they thought. The footage showed the woman had actually followed the man after he withdrew money from an ATM and tried to rob him before running off. A year later, police released a still image from the footage, hoping someone would recognize her. And the still they released can only be described as pure nightmare fuel. This mysterious woman ended up being called the ATM Phantom. No one's ever figured out who she really was. This is the last piece of known footage of a man named Alan Gilles, whose lifeless body was found the very next day. In February of 2014, the 64-year-old man was found dead on a beach in Cornwall, England. A dog walker came across his body earlier in the day, lying face down near the shoreline. What made it instantly disturbing wasn't just that he was naked except for a single shoe, it was what had been done to him. A sock had been forced into his mouth, held there with a pair of headphones. He also had multiple injuries to his head, chest, and hands. It didn't look like he'd simply died of drowning. Police quickly realized this was not something they could easily explain. CCTV tracked his final movements the night before. He was seen calmly moving between different towns. There was no obvious signs of distress, though. After that, he just disappeared. No one knows who he met or what actually happened in those last hours. Was it an accident? Did he unalive himself? Did someone take his life? That certainly seems to be the case to me, but police were never able to tie anyone to the crime. This one is still a complete mystery. Somewhere along the way, a reel of silent film ended up at the National Library of Medicine. Nobody knows how it got there. There's no paperwork attached to the footage. There are no other copies of it anywhere in the world either, at least not that we know of. The footage opens with one text card that says, Mr. Professor Dr. Jacob Erdheim, Preparer of Corpses, Hospital of the City of Vienna, September 1933. That's the only information we have aside from the footage itself, which is not for the faint of heart, because what you're looking at is an autopsy, possibly the first one ever captured on camera. And Dr. Erdheim seems to be in a pretty chipper mood about it, smiling, gesturing, chatting with the students around him. None of them are wearing masks either, which is pretty nauseating. As for who the body on the table is, no idea, and we'll probably never know. Nobody really knows why this was filmed. It wasn't made for the public, it was never shown anywhere as far as anyone can tell. The leading theory is that after Erdheim died, a colleague collected his belongings and eventually brought them to the US, and this film was mixed in with everything else, but that's still just a guess. This next one comes from Reddit user RedHorse63. It was captured during a paranormal investigation at a venue in Boothboro, Maryland. According to the uploader, they were there with a small team moving through the building and recording everything as they went. Cameras were set up, audio recordings were running, and they were trying to pick up EVPs, which stands for Electronic Voice Phenomenon. It's a ghost hunting thing. Now, at the time, nothing seemed unusual. No one reacted to anything, and the walkthrough felt pretty normal, boring even. It wasn't until later when they reviewed the footage that they spotted something behind one of their associates. Moments after they'd ascended the stairs, this dark shape appears and follows them up. Take a look at this. It's not a clear figure, it's semi-translucent. The person in front just kept walking, completely unaware that something was behind them. Red Horse also mentioned capturing EVP responses during the investigation, saying there was some level of communication happening at the time. In this next clip, an urban explorer is walking through an abandoned hospital at night when he notices someone sitting in the dark, facing away from him. That's some pretty classic horror movie stuff right there. I mean, there's something about a person sitting still with their back to you that always feels wrong right away, but especially in an abandoned hospital. I mean, you can't see their face, you can't tell what they're doing, and it just puts you on edge. So it makes it even worse when her head bends back in this really unnatural way. Yeah, no thank you. Finally, we have a clip from TikTok user Eliza1818, who was filming herself in a hotel hallway. She believed someone was following her and pretended to be on FaceTime to make it look like she wasn't alone. At one point, she suddenly hears what sounds like footsteps rushing toward her. That's when she took off down the hallway, calling out for help as she headed straight for the elevator. She got inside and repeatedly tried to close the doors, but they wouldn't move. With nowhere else to go, she just backed into the corner, covering her face, and waited. After a few seconds, she stepped back out of the elevator, and almost immediately the doors closed on their own. We also get another angle, security footage. From Eliza's angle, there's really no clear sign of anyone chasing her. The hallway looks empty the entire time, but we also get this security footage here, so see if you notice something eerie. A faint shadow moves across the wall in the hallway. It's quick, it's easy to miss, but once you see it, it's hard to ignore. Was she imagining things? Was there really someone following her? Or was that someone more of a something paranormal? One morning at Wellington Indoor Market in Telford, England, workers showed up and immediately knew something was off. Boxes were scattered everywhere, across the floor and down the stairs. The first thought was that someone must have broken in overnight, so they pulled up the security footage, expecting to see a person. What they got instead was a bit harder to explain. They watched as boxes suddenly tipped over and tumbled down the stairs. If you really focus, there is also a dark, shadowy shape moving up the staircase right before it happens. It's faint, but it's there, and what made it harder to brush off is that the market has been around since 1244 and already has a reputation for odd stuff. Staff have said they'll sometimes see strange shadows when working alone, and that one time, 2 people heard coughing in another part of the building only to find it completely empty. Doors slamming and hand dryers turning on by themselves have also been reported. Did you see that ghostly shape move across the field in the background? Nobody noticed it until they played the footage back later. This clip was posted to Reddit by a user named Elizabeth Greengirl88, titled, "Captured a spirit walking behind my husband on a security camera." After people started asking questions, Elizabeth jumped in and explained a few things. The footage came from a security camera that sends alerts to their phone whenever it detects movement. At the time, they were out in their farmland, not near a road or other houses. She said neither of them smokes, and there wasn't a fire going on, so smoke doesn't really make sense, and honestly, it doesn't really look like smoke anyway. They don't have pets, and no one else was around when this was recorded, at least not that they know. She also mentioned that an older man used to live on the land before they moved in, and he'd passed away prior to them buying the property. In 2023, a restaurant in Portsmouth, New Hampshire ended up with a story it didn't expect after its alarm system went off late at night. The place was the Library Restaurant, which sits inside the old Rockingham Hotel, a building that's had a reputation for ghost stories for a long time. After the alarms were triggered, the restaurant shared security footage on Facebook showing what they believed caused it. A few seconds into the video, a white misty-looking shape floats across the frame. Not long after that, police are seen in responding to the alarm. What made it strange was that the motion detectors that went off were inside the building, even though the movement was only seen outside. In their post, the restaurant explained, "Our building, the Rockingham, is well known for its ghosts, and notably the ones in the library basement. Last night, for the very first time, our motion detector alarms inside the building were set off by this camera motion, caught on video in the dead of night outside the window. The motion detectors inside cannot see what the camera outside sees. It is not lights from the car, because you can see how others are picked up, and there is no horizontal wind blowing, so what can this be? Make of it what you will, but this has never happened before." I don't know where this last clip originally comes from. Seems to be CCTV footage from a cafeteria or maybe a party room, but it is pretty odd. So the room is totally dark and empty, but then the door behind the bar lights up. A figure is standing by it. At first I thought it was just someone opening the door and walking in, but it doesn't quite look like that. I mean, I slowed the clip down and watched it again, and it's almost instantaneous. The door doesn't appear to swing open. Suddenly, there's just this figure standing there, surrounded by light. But it could definitely just be a case of bad camera quality, making it tough to figure out exactly what's going on, but the video continues. The figure moves its way behind the bar, and you notice it's not totally solid. It's this vague kind of white shape. And then the lights flick on, and the figure just isn't there anymore. And someone else walks into the room. They walk behind the bar and don't miss a step. I mean, if someone had crouched down behind there, the person would have noticed them. They certainly wouldn't just walk by like that. I don't know, it's a strange video. So this eerie piece of footage comes from a government office in Mexico City. According to the staff, especially the security guards, strange things were happening there all the time. They said they were constantly getting spooked, but the most disturbing part was that several of them claimed to see some kind of monk-like figure that would appear and harass them. People would also report hearing cries and screams in the early hours of the morning. Then, one night, a security camera finally captured this, which looked exactly like the creepy figure that had been terrifying them night after night. Imagine you're alone at home in the middle of the night, cleaning up around the house, when suddenly something cuts through the silence. It's a whisper, and not only is it a whisper, but it's your name. This is what happened to Reddit user IggyTalls_15, who said, "I heard someone very distinctly whisper Mike from behind me. I thought one of my kids had walked downstairs, but when I saw there was no one, I bolted. It was just me and the dogs/cat around 12 a.m. This is also an old home from the 1850s, and a crew member who died in the Halifax explosion lived here in the early 1900s. Take a listen to this and a watch. Security footage from Wellington Indoor Market in Telford, England caught something that left workers a bit rattled the next day. When traders showed up one morning, they found a bunch of boxes scattered across the floor and stairs. At first they thought someone had broken in, of course, but when they checked the CCTV, what they saw was something else entirely. A dark, shadowy figure walking up the stairs and then knocking over the boxes. Now, it's not very easy to make out the figure walking up the stairs, but if you look closely enough, you can see some sort of shadowy shape appear. The boxes falling are clearly visible though. Market manager Kay Bokai said, "We came into the market in the morning and the boxes were all over the place. On the floor, over the stairs. We thought we'd had an intruder, so we obviously went straight to the CCTV. We couldn't believe what we saw. All the hairs stood up on the back of my neck. There was nobody there when the boxes fell off. We watched it again and we could see the shadow walking up the stairs, then chucking the boxes over." End quote. Now, this market isn't new to strange activity. It's been around since 1244. According to Kay, sometimes there are strange things that go on when people are alone. Some people say they have seen a shadow go past them. She also mentioned an incident where, quote, "two people were alone in the market. They were talking when they heard coughing coming from the other side of the building. When they looked around, it was totally empty." Other weird moments include doors slamming and hand dryers turning on by themselves. Who is this staring at the security camera after hours? So a security guard monitoring a CCTV system got an alert that someone was on the property after hours, well past closing time when no one should have been there, other than him, of course. When he checked the footage, what the camera caught was unsettling, to say the least. There's this small, ghostly figure with glowing eyes standing in the distance. Some have said it looks like a little boy, standing there, staring right at the camera. The clip has since been linked to the legend of the Pocong, a ghost from Indonesian and Malaysian folklore. According to the belief, a Pocong is the spirit of a dead person who's still wrapped in their burial shroud. In some versions of the legend, the soul remains trapped if the ties around the shroud aren't removed after 40 days. And the spirit is forced to wander, often appearing as this pale figure with bound limbs and a haunting stare. Well, with all that said, I've been your host, James. I'll catch you, yes, you specifically, in the next video. Reddit user F4DellIntoYou posted a series of photos they took at Madison Seminary just a few days ago. Now, Madison Seminary in Madison, Ohio is known to be one of the most haunted places in the state, and if you know anything about Ohio, you know it's said to be pretty paranormally active, so that is saying a lot. The Redditor said, "I did a flashlight tour of the Madison Seminary last weekend. It started off as a school in 1845. It eventually became a housing unit for the Women's Relief Corps, then families and widows of fallen soldiers in the Civil War, and then also eventually became an asylum. One of the more famous people who lived here was Elizabeth Stiles, a former spy of Abraham Lincoln. Many people have reported seeing and hearing things. I didn't experience anything in person beside a few strange feelings as I entered onto a different floor, it's a 3-floor building, and felt attracted/drawn to certain areas more than others. However, I do remember sitting in this room alone for a little while and tried talking to whoever may be in there. I snapped these pictures and when I got home, noticed what looked like a face in the headboard. There was no one else in the room and I can't find any explanation for it." And yeah, taking a close look at this third image, it does look like there's this ghostly face in the headboard, but what do you all think of this one? In October 2023, just a few days before Halloween, a man in Mexico started hearing strange noises coming from his garage late at night. And thinking it might be an animal, he went to check things out, but his dogs, who normally bark at everything, were oddly silent. When he reviewed his security footage later, he saw something crouched behind one of the cars. It looked human at first, but the longer you watch, the stranger it gets. The figure moves on all fours, then slowly stands upright, towering on 2 legs. As the man walks closer, one of his dogs finally barks, and that's when the figure seems to stretch, its arms and legs growing unnaturally long as it shifts behind the cars. The man runs to grab his wife, and when they return, the thing has vanished, moving out of frame like it just melted into the dark. The video spread pretty fast online, with people arguing over what it showed. Some said it was just a person playing a prank before Halloween, but others thought it looked like a Nahal, an old Mesoamerican shapeshifter said to turn into animals at night. Nothing rings in the Halloween season like a ghost hunt in a cemetery. This video comes from Peta and Jen of Ethereal Sisters Paranormal. They were carrying out an investigation at Serpentine Cemetery in Western Australia when they captured an unexplained blue mist. Check this out.
What?
Catch that? Here it is, slowed down a bit. When a viewer pointed out the blue mist to them during the stream, they went back to the same spot later to see if they could replicate it, try to explain what happened, but they couldn't. They still have no idea what it was. And finally, from Reddit user Aware Measurement 121 comes the case of the moving shoes. They write, "My friend was telling me about odd things happening at her former home and sent me her home surveillance footage from 2018. Is this a tidy ghost who wants everything in its place? Watch the orbs and the white shoes apparently out of place." Now, I am not one who's usually into orb videos, but there are a couple that pass by in this clip, and the orbs become even more interesting when the little white pair of shoes move from the carpet to the bottom of the stairs, seemingly on their own. Hey, at least it's a tidy poltergeist they have, aside from the cobwebs in the corner right beside the camera. I mean, you got security footage. Don't you see those? Clean those up. Anyway, am I always harping on people to clean? Do I come off as, a tool? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. If I were to tell you there was a mysterious figure in this image, what would you think I was talking about? I mean, you'd probably start scanning all the dark, shadowy areas, trying to pick out some vaguely human shape lurking in the corner. But no, the mysterious figure is actually the person right in the middle of the frame. Yeah, nobody knows who that is. This image was posted to Reddit by Defend Aloha. It comes from a friend of his named Kimberly. One night in August of 2019, Kimberly came home sometime between 1 and 2 in the morning. She was gonna head upstairs to let her dad know she was home, but then she heard a strange noise. She quickly checked the main floor before going upstairs. Everything seemed quiet, but the moment she reached the top of the stairs, the home alarm system went off. Her phone lit up with a warning saying an intrusion had been detected. Her dad rushed out of his bedroom and tried to get the rest of the family into one upstairs room while he checked the house. Room by room, everything looked normal until he opened the door leading into the garage. The garage door to the outside was wide open. Around the same time, Vivint, the security company, called to check if the family was safe. And since no one was found inside the house and there was no immediate threat, they ended the call. But then another alert came through. The security camera in the living room had detected movement and sent a notification including a video clip. This was the thumbnail. The problem was, when they played the actual video, there was nothing there. They scrubbed through frame by frame. It was just an empty room the entire time. The figure only shows up in that thumbnail. And no, it wasn't Kimberly. She wasn't wearing anything close to what the figure appeared to have on, and it certainly wasn't her dad. So just who or what the hell was creeping around their house that night? This next clip was posted to Reddit by Gabber Flasm, who said the footage was sent to him from his mom's security camera. Watch the trees in the background here. Figure walks through the forested area behind the property and seemingly vanishes after crouching down. The Redditor said it's his brother in the video and that he never heard or saw anyone at the time. And no nearby neighbors would be walking on the property like that either. And even if this was some stranger skulking through the forest, what's the explanation for them disappearing like that? This next video comes from the YouTube channel Aloha Treasures. So this woman has security cameras on the inside and outside of her home and said that strange things had been going on lately. She'd been seeing things in the house, but she got confirmation one day when she saw a mysterious shadowy figure show up on the living room camera, standing in a doorway. So she jokes about how it could be her ex-husband breaking into her house, but I mean, yeah, it could be though. I mean, this is not a case of a bug on the lens or like dust floating around creating what looks like a shadowy shape. No, someone is definitely in that room. Ever seen a car accident involving a ghost? Well, you're about to. So these guys were cruising through the parking lot when something runs out in front of the car. A dark, shadowy shape. And this has nothing to do with the camera because the car stops and two people get out thinking they've hit something. Clearly they saw what the camera picked up. They look all over though, but find no signs of an injured animal or anything like that. Whatever the thing was, it wasn't there anymore. Reddit user 1ondo1ants posted this next clip. His motion-activated security camera picked up someone or something seemingly floating into his house. Luckily, there was no sign of an intruder though. In fact, those sliding doors by the back deck, they were always closed and locked up at night. So his mind was partially at ease, but not entirely. What the hell was captured on camera here? It looks like it floats right through the glass. The footage left him pretty shaken up, and he doesn't really like thinking about it. His grandmother had died just months before this was captured, and his mom thought it was her watching over them. I don't have much context for this next clip. Apparently it's CCTV footage captured at a school though. It's hard to spot at first, but keep your eyes on the second floor. A dark figure dashes across the walkway at a pretty decent clip too. It's semi-translucent and impossible to make out any features. Is it just a case of poor quality camera, or is something more mysterious going on here? What are all your thoughts? Leave your comments down below. In 2015, a very eerie video hit the internet, and it was so strange that people couldn't decide whether the encounter actually happened or if it was all staged. Turns out, it was not a hoax. It was January 28th in Auckland, New Zealand, when a group of film students were shooting at Parnell Railway Station. They noticed a man and woman creeping out of the bushes on the other side of the train tracks. They noticed them immediately because they were wearing white masks, and they were just standing there staring down the students. The students didn't really know what to make of this. Was it a prank, or did the pair of masked weirdos actually have bad intentions? They decided to make their way back to the parking lot, hoping the creepy pair would leave them alone. But they didn't. About 10 minutes later, they noticed they were being followed. They decided to call the police, and armed officers arrived on scene. At one point, there was even a police chopper flying overhead trying to find these two. Seems like a rather extreme response for a call about a pair of people wearing masks, doesn't it? Well, not really. The film students weren't the first ones who called in about this. Other people had seen the couple as well, and the film students didn't realize it at the time, but the pair were armed. Eventually, the masked pair turned themselves in. Police found they were part of a strange Facebook group called the Twins of Atticus. The page has since been taken down, but apparently it was pretty hard to describe. Most of the posts were pretty cryptic. It's a very strange case, and their motives were never made clear. And this has to be one of the strangest UFO videos I've ever seen. There's not a lot of information about this video, but apparently it was filmed somewhere in Cuba. People noticed this bright orange object in the sky, so this man pointed his camera up and zoomed in. At first the thing just looks like a glowing ball, which would already be weird, but then it starts rotating. And it gets even stranger. The object seemingly morphs into what now looks like an aircraft, but the glowing orange part continues rotating at the center. I've really never seen anything like it. But is the footage a hoax? Is it genuine? I'll let you all be the judge. Talk about your workday dragging on. This video comes out of a piñata shop in Mexico. This worker was just minding her own business when suddenly something grabs her leg and violently pulls her into another room. I say something because there's nobody there, and she's being pulled by some kind of unseen force. The shop is owned by a man named Mario Lara, and it's not the first piece of creepy security footage he's posted. I'm sure many of you will recognize this clip. Mario's store has a bit of a reputation now for its paranormal activity. At first, you'd start noticing things were out of place. You'd come in the morning to the shop in total disarray, with piñatas all over the floor. And when it continued happening, he started wondering if someone was sneaking in at night. So he set up a security camera, and that's when he spotted that ghoulish-looking creature poking its head out of the pile of piñatas. It's become a pretty well-known paranormal video online, and even though some people think it's a total hoax, others aren't so sure. This next video comes from Reddit user KitKat9876. who was constantly waking up in the middle of the night feeling like someone was shaking the bed. Eventually, she'd had enough and decided to put up a security camera to see what the hell was going on. And this is what she captured. Now, the video quality ain't great, but you'll notice it looks like there's something under the sheet holding it up, and the sheet goes flat. Doesn't look like her leg though. It's this single vertical section that suddenly disappears, and as if that wasn't weird enough, something that looks a lot like a head pokes out of the sheets. But Kit-Kat was alone that night. Her husband was working out of town. So what exactly did she capture on camera here? I've seen a lot of orb videos online. Most of them don't really do it for me because it usually just looks like light reflecting off dust, but this video is really something else. Take a look. It was posted to Reddit by trash_scientist who said they got a motion alert from their home security camera and decided to check it, expecting the usual, maybe an animal. Instead, they saw this glowing object drifting through the frame. Trash Scientist tried to make sense of it. Their first guess was that it could have been a paper lantern, but the more they watched it, the less that explanation held up. The movement just didn't match. It wasn't floating gently or drifting with the wind. It was moving sharply up and down and across and back up again. It seemed to be changing direction on purpose. The glow coming off the object was also really strong enough to light up the trees behind it in a way that didn't look natural. When the Reddit user got home later, they checked the surrounding yards, expecting to find something, anything that could explain it, but there were no lanterns, no debris, nothing left behind. They also ruled out the obvious stuff. It didn't sound like a drone, the camera picked up no noise at all, and whatever this thing was moving way too close to the trees for that to make sense. And then there was the angle. The neighboring garden sits about a full story lower than theirs, which made it unlikely that it was someone just standing there waving a flashlight around. So what exactly is this bright glowing orb? I can't say. Share your thoughts in the comments. And speaking of unexplained lights, check these out. What exactly are we looking at here? They're not stars. And scrubbing through the video, you'll notice they change position. Some completely disappear and then reappear in other spots in the sky. The footage was posted to Reddit by main_development42, who wrote, "Pilot here. I was flying out west at 36,000 feet near Denver and saw several of these lights appear and disappear. I was wondering if anyone knew what these things are. I asked air traffic control as well, and they have no clue either. This is my second time encountering these lights, and I'm 1,000% sure these are not civil nor military." It's always interesting when pilots see something in the sky that they have no explanation for, as, you know, they're up there all the time. Was this woman pushed by a ghost? So this happened in Chile inside a lawyer's office. A woman named Cecilia Carrasco had gone in for a meeting. As she was walking across the room, out of nowhere, she fell backward. Now, it's one thing to lose your footing and slip while you're walking. The strange part was she was totally still when she fell. It comes completely out of nowhere. I mean, how do you just suddenly fall back like that? Looks more like she was shoved. And according to Cecilia, that's how it felt too. Cecilia's first reaction was the same as anyone's would be. She thought someone had pushed her and then taken off, but when she looked around, there was no one. But she could have sworn someone made contact with her. And it was a nasty fall too. She ended up needing medical attention afterward. Before this, Cecilia didn't believe in anything paranormal, but after it happened, that changed pretty quickly. She later said, "Now I'm worried a ghost might be after me. I have no idea why I was shoved over." Ever heard of a haunted laundry room? This clip was posted to TikTok by J Melilo165, who works at a hospital. The security guard had noticed the washing machines acting very strangely, as in moving on their own. So he gathered some staff around to check out the footage, and boy is it weird.
Come look at the second one. Here comes the second.
Now, it should be noted, the security footage that they're watching has been sped up. But still, that is not a subtle shift. That machine totally changes position, and I love the genuine sounding reaction by the staff here. They're laughing. That's how taken aback they are. They cannot believe what they're witnessing, so they're laughing.
Look, here goes.
It happens. Look. This does not happen.
Look.
That's true. Look.
It's like Robert De Niro and Joker. You're laughing. The laundry room's haunted and you're laughing. Anyway, probably wouldn't be the acting choice most amateur hoaxers would go with, you know, to laugh. Just feels too genuine to me. But anyway, it doesn't end there. Nothing creepier than a doll moving on its own, right? In this TikTok video posted by Luki01, that's exactly what happened. He'd set up a camera to see what his cat was getting up to when he was at work, and he ended up capturing
Number 10 spot, we have Superman or UFO. You may not know this, but all of the top secret government information gets declassified after 25 years. Yes, after it's basically useless to know, as I'm sure there is much more relevant information to note. But sometimes, every so often, the government drops us little breadcrumbs to keep us on our toes. Whether the CIA is okay with it, well, we will never know. But earlier this year, 2022, a press conference was held to speak about some recent footage showing unidentifiable objects in the sky. This first video shows an object in the sky that's just sort of floating by, and then all of a sudden it zooms out of frame. The government has put more money into the study of this unidentifiable aerial object in the last while, but they still have no idea what is flying in this video. Is it not a bird or plane? And no, it is not Superman. I wish. Only, of course, if it's Henry Cavill though. Boy, is he dreamy. This footage was out to the public more than a year ago, before the Pentagon revealed that it's legitimate, and they probably only did so because of the pressure from the public to tell the truth. In our number 9 spot, we have the US Navy UFO footage. Again. Apparently the US Navy recorded some aerial footage where you see triangles flashing in the sky. The footage is recorded with night vision goggles, and it came right after the Navy reported a number of unidentifiable objects in the area off the US coast. What exactly these objects are remains unsolved. Clearly they are UFOs, but of course the CIA and the government will do everything they can to avoid saying those words. If it ain't from this planet, then it must be from somewhere else. I bet you an alien will actually land here at some point, and they'll still be hesitant to admit the truth. An unidentifiable being was seen walking around, they'll say. In our number 8 spot, we have Kenny Veach. This is a video of a guy by the name of Kenny Veach who went missing after going for a hike near the infamous Area 51. This video gained some popularity because in it, Kenny described that he was searching for a mysterious cave that he once came across, where he felt a very strange force field around it. He described how he felt like he was getting hot from the inside, and as he got closer to it, it got worse, and so he quickly ran away. In this video, he's on the hunt for the cave again, but after the video was posted, Kenny went missing. He was on a 3-day hiking trip to find this cave when suddenly everyone stopped hearing from him. There are many conspiracy theories over this. Some say he found the cave, and if it really did have that force field around it, then it could have obliterated him. People believe that this cave and force field is linked to the mysteriousness of Area 51. Even though Kenny's girlfriend shared that Kenny had depression and suspects that he took his own life, we don't know if that's real or not, as the CIA could be covering up for the fact that Kenny found a way into Area 51. It's super sus that everyone's seemingly onto something just takes their own life. In our number 7 spot, we have Isaac Kappy. Isaac Kappy is an American actor that was best known for being in Thor and a bunch of other prominent productions. He's also best known for being a Hollywood whistleblower and speaking about what goes on in Hollywood. You know, the Harvey Weinstein goings on, that kind of thing. Calling out such names as Seth Green and Steven Spielberg. Isaac started to receive death threats and spoke about how he might be killed. Then all of a sudden, he made a video talking about how there's now darkness within him and that this video would be his last video. He also spoke about how he was not thinking about taking his own life, in case anyone says that he is, which is what makes this video even more curious. There is much speculation as to whether he ended up taking his own life or whether he was actually killed. All that's clear is this last video of him and all of his YouTube content has been suppressed online. Why? Perhaps because they don't want what he previously spoke about to be public knowledge. Perhaps. In our number 6 spot, we have Obama's security shapeshifter. In 2012, at the US-Israel Policy Conference, President Obama was making a speech, and while he was doing so, the cameras caught something very extraordinary. Every so often, the cameras would pan out into the audience and show the audience, of course, but also the security guards. In one shot, the camera catches one of the bodyguards from behind, looking completely different than he did from the front. We see a bald man with with no ears and a pointy chin. His nose looks short and rounded, and his eyes appear to be dark and sunken in. Most think that because it was so dark and crowded that people would have missed this, and that the camera caught this shapeshifter in a blip of a moment in its true form. But of course, this footage has been suppressed from the public, and people believe the CIA is concerned with this getting out because it confirms an alien race.
Number 5. Salem Road. This video shows a couple guys driving in a truck down a road in what looks to be like a very rural area. It's not too bright or fun. Now they're just two guys being dudes hanging out, blasting some Coldplay, whatever you do with your dudes on the weekends. Now you know a little bit more about me. All of a sudden they come across a woman dressed in white walking down the middle of the road. So they turn down their Coldplay, probably, and they swear a bunch. Obviously they're in shock. Just a woman walking down in the middle of the road in what appears to be the middle of nowhere, and then all of a sudden these men driving up behind her. It looks bad from both point of views, know what I mean? They stop the truck and one of them gets out to go check on her to see if she's okay, because she's walking kind of, you know, ghoulish. She's got like the ghoulish walk. Now the guy continues freaking out. He's telling them to get out of there, and the other guys don't believe him until they realize that seemingly out of nowhere this lady is now right in front of their truck. Awesome, we love phantoms. The video ends with this clip. I'm not sure who or what this lady was or what's going on here, but that's all I gotta say. One of these. Number 4, overnight break-in. This next found footage comes from a doorbell camera, one of my favorites, and it shows the terrifying moment a stranger begins trying to break into a woman's home. This is my worst fear, if I'm being honest here. She starts off by backing up and throwing her body into the window until it finally breaks. Now the stranger wasn't in any immediate danger or anything like that, but it does appear as though she may be a little bit confused about her whereabouts, which is obviously sad when you look at it. The woman whose home is obviously freaked out. More than fair. I mean, imagine this happening out of the blue, middle of Survivor finale. You're like, what's that sound? What is that? Yeah, that ought to be jarring. Eventually, a police officer showed up and spoke to the woman who claimed that her friend was in the house. Now, obviously, this was not the case, but this is why I believe she may have been a little confused as to where she was. In the end, it just so happens that alcohol had a little something to do with it, so everyone was okay. It was just a rough night. You know what I mean? Number 3. Chernobyl footage. Okay, this one comes to us from the later 1980s when there was a nuclear disaster in Chernobyl, obviously. I don't have to go into detail about this one. In April of 1986, there was an explosion and a fire taking place at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. This explosion happened when there was an issue and they were trying to begin an experiment which was set to actually make the reactor more safe, but in turn it didn't work out. Unfortunately, the way the reactor was designed placed too much responsibility in the hands of an operator. One thing led to another, and it was this huge, tragic disaster. The amount of radiation in the air caused alarms at the Forsmark nuclear power plant in Sweden. Footage I'm about to show you is just a small glimpse into what things looked like soon after this took place. I can't imagine how scary this must have been for everybody involved. Even watching it is disturbing, to be honest with you. Chernobyl today is still pretty much a ghost town, but there are people who live there. Some of them never even left in the first place. Number 2, doorbell liquor. And immediately back into the weird stuff. This was one of my favorites, I have to include it. This one's short and sweet, not much explaining to do here. Just a dude going up on a doorbell. Back in 2019, a man was caught on surveillance approaching a home in a neighborhood in Salinas, California. He doesn't say much, he just shows up and, well, like I said, starts licking the doorbell. Just goes to town on this button. Not the camera, the actual button, the actual doorbell itself. He rang the bell apparently hundreds of times. He did this for hours straight. Now the homeowner said in a following interview after seeing the footage, "Oh boy, that is weird." Yeah, see me, I would laugh hysterically, and then after I'd be like, okay, we have to move. Number 1, overnight visitor. This video was taken from a surveillance camera that was placed inside of a couple's home. Yeah, inside, not outside, in. Having a camera inside of your home isn't too common, but sometimes you're lucky you have one. Like this example. These people had one because what it caught while they were sleeping is one of the creepiest things I've ever seen in my life. When the couple woke up one day, they were unable to find a purse that they knew was in the house before they went to go to sleep, right? They're like, well, this is pretty much is right there next to my chapstick. I know where my chapstick is. So they decided to check their handy security camera, and this is what they found. As it turns out, the couple fell asleep on the couch watching TV, and as they were sleeping there, a man crept in, and he was so quiet he didn't even wake them or their dog up. Yeah, he stood at the top of their stairs watching them sleep for a few minutes, which just adds another layer of, I'm gonna shit my pants, and then that's it, Bob's your uncle. I wouldn't even keep this tape. I would throw it out. This is cursed in itself. I'm glad the robber only took the purse and didn't do anything else. How scary is that?
If you ever want to get a job where you're likely to encounter paranormal activity, I think a nursing home would be a good choice. This first video comes from Camila Torres on TikTok. She works at a nursing home. Back in 2019, a resident at the home wanted Camila to capture footage of her blessing one of the rooms. Why did the woman think it needed blessing? Well, the room had a reputation. According to Camila, a lot of weird things would happen in this room. Residents had sudden episodes. A number of them passed away in there, and staff would often get chills walking past it. It got to the point where they didn't house anyone in that room anymore. It was simply referred to as the death room. So, a blessing seemed fitting. What Camila captured on camera, though, was downright eerie. Suddenly, the woman's cross swings up into the air, and it doesn't move like it would, with a strong breeze. It looks like someone plucked it up and then let it go. Only there's nobody there, of course. It's just a pitch black room. This insane piece of UAP footage comes out of Paris, where traffic came to a halt with people looking up to try and make sense of what was floating above their heads. It's triangle-shaped with lights on each corner, one flashing in the center. Very strange looking object, but it's not the first triangle-shaped UFO footage to come out of Paris. This next piece of video is even more incredible, but it was captured way back in 2008. Supposedly, this footage stayed buried for about 13 years, quietly suppressed by big tech companies like Google. The footage was recorded in Paris in July of 2008. Story goes the person who filmed it was a military serviceman who chose to stay anonymous. The account that originally posted the clip never uploaded anything else. A lot of people who've looked at the video say it's just CGI, and that's probably the most common explanation, but others argue that the level of detail makes that less probable. The footage looks pretty complex for something that'd just, be thrown on the internet anonymously. It's not like there's any profit to be made from that. If the footage is real, it appears to be filmed using infrared, specifically the kind where heat shows up as white. The craft also appears to vent steam, and the background doesn't look like a still image. In the distance, there's what appears to be an industrial facility, and the steam rising from it seems to move naturally. Now, does this mean the footage is 100% definitely real? No, it could be hoaxed, but if so, it's very well done. And this object may be more than just a random UFO, though. A lot of commenters think it's specifically TR-3B, which is a rumored secret triangular aircraft supposedly developed by the US military. Reports usually describe a large black triangle with lights on each corner, and sometimes a glowing circle in the center, moving slowly and almost silently through the sky. The name started appearing in the 90s in discussions about classified aerospace projects, but in those videos, that's basically exactly what the thing looks like. Don't you hate it when your pet will suddenly just stare off at a wall or some random corner in the room for seemingly no reason, frozen in place, visibly concerned and unsettled? It's eerie without a doubt, but this next story takes that to a whole other level. If I woke up at 3 a.m. to find my dog sitting at the top of the stairway staring motionless like this, I'd be moving out of there within the week. This clip comes from VideoChica89 on Instagram. She said she'd been hearing strange sounds at night coming from the stairs, so she set up a nanny cam one night. When she looked over the footage the next morning, a shiver went up her spine. Her dog had sat there staring like that for over 4 hours. And what was he looking at? What was he hearing? She had no idea. But apparently since that night, he's been refusing to use those stairs. This is a rather infamous clip, especially in Thailand. A Thai news station even covered this. It comes from the early days of the internet, back when the internet was a lot creepier, in my opinion. But don't be alarmed by the potato quality of the video. Some people believe a ghost appeared on camera at this small party in Thailand. It looks like the kind of video you'd see posted on Facebook back in the day, just a group of teenagers hanging out. But you'll notice throughout this video, one person has been circled in red, and that's because there's an eerie story connected to him. The guy seen in the circle had been on his motorcycle when he was struck by a pickup truck. He died at the scene. The thing is, that crash happened before he ever made it to the gathering. Nobody found out he died until later. As far as anyone at the party knew, he just never showed up. That's right, they did not see the man circled in red at the time. It was only when they watched the footage that they noticed what could only be described as the spirit of their friend hanging out with the rest of the group. Some believe it was his ghost, who drifted to the party after the accident, not realizing that he died. We've all seen videos of cats and dogs standing completely still for a long stretch of time, but this is really something else. Posted to the TikTok account Noel the Lamb, this video shows 4 horses standing in their pen completely and utterly frozen in place. I mean, if it weren't for the rain and the horses' tails slightly blowing in the breeze, I'd think this was just a still image. The farmer thinks it's a glitch in the Matrix, and being that she's with these animals day in and day out, I feel like she must be a pretty good judge of what's weird behavior with the animals and what isn't. And there's some interesting comments on this video that add another unsettling layer to the whole thing, like this one. When animals act out of character, I definitely watch more closely to my surroundings. They are the first to know about any bad weather or threats. And this one from Boho Mama, who writes, a horse appearing frozen is often a normal and natural behavior, reflecting a combination of resting, vigilance, and responses to their environment or perceived threats. Threats seems to come up a lot in this comment section, which of course makes me wonder, was something skulking around the farm that day? I mean, what exactly were those horses reacting to? Anyway, what do you all think? Leave your comments down below. This next video comes out of Ciudad Juarez in Mexico in 2014. The footage was captured by a parent filming their kid's baseball game. Now, supposedly, nobody saw anything odd at the time, but looking back at the footage later, the parent noticed this odd figure standing out in the field. See that weird, I guess, cloaked looking thing? Yeah, nobody had seen it with their naked eye, and it looks to be flashing, almost like there's electricity moving through it. It's incredibly weird. Someone made some pretty bold claims, saying it's an interdimensional being or an alien cloaking itself. I have absolutely no idea what to make of this thing, but it is definitely strange. And this next video makes me want to shut my mouth, close my eyes, and cover my ears, because this is just an ungodly amount of insects. This clip comes out of Hunan, China. Good reminder to never take a trip there, I guess. I mean, holy crap. I'd think the world was ending. I mean, imagine just taking one of those electric fly swatters and just wading through that mess. I mean, the thing would probably catch fire. And this last clip comes out of Yemen. It's around 2 in the morning. The guy's sitting behind the counter in his small shop when a woman suddenly walks in. Right away, something about her seems off. She's extremely pale, for one. The way she carries herself is a little unsettling. Now, being pale on its own, it's not that unusual. I mean, just look at me. But the interaction quickly gets strange. The woman asks the man why he's listening to the Quran. Then she moves closer to him, really close. She steps right into his personal space, close enough that the man visibly leans back in his chair, clearly uncomfortable. And that's when she tells him, "Don't be afraid, I'm an angel." After that, she turns as if she's about to leave, but then suddenly stops and asks the man a question. Who passed away? The man looks confused and tells her that nobody's died. The woman asks the same question again, though, almost like she doesn't believe him. He gives the same answer, though. Nobody. Before leaving, she also asks him for some money, but the man tells her he doesn't have anything to give her. Eventually, she walks out of the store. Now, at first glance, this just sounds like a strange late-night encounter. I mean, 2 a.m. at a small corner store, odd people coming in is not exactly unheard of, but according to this store owner, there was one last detail that really disturbed him. When he looked down, he said the woman's feet didn't look normal. He claimed they looked like horse hooves. So the question is, who, or possibly what, actually walked into that store that night?
Relations. Drones, right off the bat, they're not a new piece of technology, but they're most definitely becoming more widespread. Especially living downtown Toronto, I see drones all the time. And yes, I get mad at them every single time for no reason. I always think it's aliens too for like 4 seconds, and I'm like, nah, just that guy over there. Surveys suggest that drone technology that's upcoming, that's what the general public fears the most. I mean, fair. That and VR, pretty ominous. Very Black Mirror vibes going on with those two. And part of this, or really a lot of this, is due to the fact that since this technology evolved so quickly, the laws and regulations surrounding drones, well, they haven't exactly had time to catch up. They're cool and all, but drones are quite invasive. Like I said, I see them a lot, and I don't wanna. These devices can make others feel like they're being spied on, when really we're just enjoying the view. In Portsmouth, one man was caught sunbathing on top of a 175-foot tall wind turbine. Yeah, what a location. There we go. The closer to the sun, the better, I guess? I don't know what his mentality is. Drone operator Kevin Miller spotted Joseph Byron catching a cool breeze on top of a turbine. Now, the man had obviously been asked about his parkour endeavor and how he got up there, of course. And apparently he's been climbing the turbine for over a decade, just for some alone time. Yeah, that guy's for sure Batman. Leave people alone. Stop flying drones near them. Number 9, ghosts. Ah yes, the black-eyed ghouls of Cannock Chase Forest in Stratfordshire, England. You've heard about this one? No? Huh. Listen up. They've been a local legend for hundreds of years now, and now we're finally at a time where drones are responsible for ghost photography. Yep, no escaping now, Casper. We have altitude and speed, buddy. These ghouls, they've been thought to be ghost victims that died from diphtheria outbreak back in the 1800s, so it's not like a scary ghoul Elden Ring type situation. It's just some lost souls, just some sad stuff. They're also said to be victims of Raymond Morris, who took the lives of several people back in the 1960s, so could be outbreak victims and could be worse. Either way, we got it all on drone cam. Check it out. Did you see a ghost wearing a white dress? A little odd to be in the woods like that, no? Definitely without bug spray, you'd probably be a little itchy. Imagine being a ghost and now you have to fly away from a drone. How stressful is that? Just a ghost racing a drone. Next paranormal activity right there. Number 8, Jeepers Creepers. This one I am not a fan of, okay? Some are afraid of heights, so that last one probably scared you. If you're afraid of clowns, well, buckle up. I grew up watching Jeepers Creepers, right? That movie ruined my childhood. Now this clip takes me back to the good old days. Kelly Lopez took his drone for a spin over a cornfield, maybe hoping to see some abandoned tractors, a sunset. Wouldn't hurt, who knows? When looking back at the footage, Kelly discovered a clown that also discovered Kelly's drone. Yeah, the last thing you'd expect in a cornfield, right? Just a clown. A minute into the footage, the clown notices the drone and then sprints. It takes off so fast. It's almost like he got caught doing something, you know what I mean? Or else why would you run? Doing what though? I don't want to know. Why is he dressed up like a clown too? I need answers. I need all the answers. Or maybe I don't. I don't know. This is too creepy. Let's move on. Number 7, Chernobyl. On April 26, 1986, reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl power complex erupted. It was just a horrible time. It erupted due to unstable and low power levels. And in turn, reactor 4 had been shut down a day before due to maintenance. And the next day at 1:23 a.m., radioactive debris compiled of fuel and reactor components just rained down over the building. And toxic fumes were then carried from the wind, and after just 4 months, 28 workers had died due to radiation exposure. Fast. Now eventually, they of course had to evacuate over 100,000 residents, and to this day, that zone is a no-go for humans. No can do. But drones, on the other hand, sure, they can swoop in and have a different fate. That area right now is full of nature, but humans are nowhere in sight, so it's pretty beautiful on a grim note. It looks like something from The Last of Us. Reactor 4 will stay highly radioactive for another 20,000 years, so I want to grab a drone soon.
So this one's infuriating. Just earlier this month in Evansville, Indiana, a man and his wife ordered food through DoorDash. Nothing seemed off until after they ate. Both of them started vomiting and felt intense burning in their mouths, throats, noses, and stomachs. Thankfully, they had a doorbell camera, so they checked it. The footage showed their miserable-looking DoorDash driver placing the food on the porch. Before walking away, she pulled out a small aerosol can attached to her keychain, sprayed something directly onto the food. That driver was later identified as 29-year-old Courtney Stevenson. When investigators questioned her, Stevenson said she used pepper spray, but claimed she was trying to kill a spider. And yeah, they didn't fall for that, especially because it was 35 degrees Fahrenheit that night. At that temperature, spiders in Indiana aren't known to be very active. The man who ordered the food, Mark Carden, later said, "It's horrific to think about all the other ways our food could have been messed with. It could have had rat poison, it could have been fentanyl, my wife could have been dead." Stevenson was arrested and charged with felony battery and consumer product tampering. This happened on December 12th in Hayward, California. Crews were working on a street in a quiet neighborhood when they hit a gas line. Gas ignited, and suddenly there was a huge explosion that shook the entire block. People nearby didn't know what was happening at first. All of a sudden, their houses were shaking and things were falling off the walls. The homeowner with this doorbell camera, Brittany Malandano, said the explosion hit without warning. "We were sitting in the house and everything shook," she said. Objects fell off the walls, and when they checked the doorbell footage, she said it felt like watching a war video. 6 people were injured in the blast. 3 were listed in serious condition. Investigators later confirmed the cause was a gas line explosion. The explosion damaged 2 homes and a nearby workshop, and more than 75 firefighters rushed to the scene to battle the flames. This next piece of creepy doorbell camera footage comes from Booby Doom on TikTok, who'd been out with her husband at dinner, and they got a notification from their camera. A woman was standing on their lawn, staring at the house. This would be weird any night, but look at the constant lightning in the sky. Not a great night to be roaming around creeping on people's homes, so they called the babysitter and told her to go to the master bedroom and lock herself in the bathroom. But that, nothing was wrong. It was just a precaution. Yeah, that's comforting. Hey, no need to worry or anything, but dear God, lock yourself away. No reason. The woman rushes to the door, and she's holding something wrapped up in blankets. Luckily, it's just a doll, but that means she was using it to try and persuade people into letting her into their homes for who knows what reason. This incident happened on March 27th in Deptford, southeast London. A woman in her 40s was returning home shortly after 7 p.m. She walked down a flight of steps to her front door, carrying a backpack and a handbag. She fumbled through her bag for her keys when a hooded man dressed in black with his face covered appeared behind her. The man grabbed her while wielding a blade. Police were notified about 10 minutes after the incident. A spokesperson for the Metropolitan Police said, at around 7:15 p.m. on Thursday, 27th of March, police received reports of an incident outside an address in Deptford. A woman in her 40s was approached and threatened with a blade outside her home. Officers attended the scene and spoke with the victim, who wasn't injured. So, could have been much worse, but as of the latest update, no arrests have been made. This one comes from Wisconsin just back in November. It was just after 1 a.m. when a Ring camera picked up a group of 6 hooded teenagers who walked up to a parked car in a quiet residential street. They stood around for a bit, and once the street was clear, they threw a large stone, smashing the car's window. Seconds later, the same person lit an object on fire and tossed it straight into the passenger seat. Of course, flames started spreading. The group suddenly panicked. One ran off immediately while the others awkwardly threw random objects at the car. Moments later, it just erupts into a massive fireball. The alarm starts blaring, lighting up the entire street. A neighbor runs into frame and frantically presses the doorbell, trying to wake the homeowner as the fire grows out of control. The person who posted the footage later wrote, "Thank God it wasn't my car. My Benz was parked right in front of it, and my Hummer across the street." As of now, it's unclear whether the attack was targeted or random, or if any arrests were made. Reddit user Navy_Beans shared this next clip, writing, "Had an unexpected visitor on the property. All the properties up here are 3+ acres on a mountain, kilometers away from the city. So out of the darkness, we see the undeniable silhouette of a man making his way down the gravel road outside Navy Beans' home. Turns out he's nude. So that's great. He walks up to the property, skulks around a bit. He goes for the door at one point, which was thankfully locked, then makes his way back into the shadows where he belongs, hopefully to a place with pants and a shirt." Charby11 shared this next creepy encounter on TikTok. It was 4 a.m. when this strange woman slowly made her way to the door and rang the doorbell. Instead of standing and waiting to see if anyone could answer though, she just turns and slowly walks away, further and further until she's totally out of view. Actually, kind of looks like she vanishes. Strange indeed, and what makes it worse is how cold it obviously is. She's wrapped in blankets, you can see her breath. It's a chilly night, so what was this lady doing walking around ringing random people's doorbells? She wasn't even asking for help or anything. Can't say I've ever seen anything quite like this next one. It happened in Colombia. A man walks into this house, you can hear voices inside. Sounds like maybe a party's going on. The door stays open for a while. Seems like the guy's standing in the doorway maybe, greeting people. As the door finally starts to close though, something flies toward it. I mean, your brain can't even comprehend what the hell you just watched. And what was that? It looks like an orb flew at the door. Kind of looks like a baseball at first, but it doesn't move in a straight line. It kind of like whips around. Apparently the guy needed like 24 stitches. This happened in Carlton, just north of Dallas, Texas. on a Saturday evening around 8 p.m. A couple had gone out for dinner and stopped to buy a Powerball ticket. While they were out, someone showed up at their door. A dude wearing a devil mask appeared on the porch. He rang the doorbell while holding up a cardboard sign that read Revelation chapter 20, verses 1 through 15. After waiting a few seconds with no response, he knocked on the door, then walked around to the back driveway and held the sign up there as well. The Bible passage referenced on the sign describes the apocalypse, saying believers go to heaven while non-believers are thrown into a lake of fire. The homeowners later said the incident left them shaken. The woman told the news, I'm scared to leave the house. I'm scared about the end times. It's about Judgment Day. I freaked out. I couldn't even think of anything. Police in town said this appears to be an isolated incident though. The person didn't technically commit a crime and they didn't really bother investigating into it any further. And I gotta be honest, I don't think this would really freak me out all that much either. I mean, it seems like the guy is just playing a prank. But I mean, if you're someone who believes in the devil, like wholeheartedly, I get why this might be unsettling. His final case is without a doubt the most disturbing. It happened in Dudley, England in 2023. Sharon Gordon hired a local builder named Peter Norgrove to build an extension onto her home. She met him through their church, a Jehovah's Witness congregation in town. He came across as friendly, reliable, he was deeply involved in the community, and according to her family, that shared faith played a big role in why she trusted him. Now, the job was supposed to take about 6 weeks. Instead, dragged on for 15 months. Sharon paid him a bunch of money up front, but the work barely progressed. On top of that, Norgrove kept lying about when he was actually showing up to work, so Sharon decided to start documenting everything. She kept notebooks, receipts, and installed the video doorbell because she believed he was lying about being at her house and wanted proof. On July 20th, Sharon confronted him about the delays and lies, and that argument escalated. Norgrove became furious, and he hit her 8 times in the head with a hammer. Afterward, Norgrove went home, showered, shaved, and then led a church service that same evening. And this really stuck out to the judge later, who said it was a pretty clear sign that he had zero remorse for what he did. Sharon's body was discovered the next day by friends who went to check on her. Police later watched her doorbell camera footage showing Norgrove coming out of the house with red stains on his clothes. Sharon's daughter described him as a wolf in sheep's clothing, saying he used faith as a cover to hide who he really was. Norgrove was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 15 years before parole can even be considered.
At number 10, doorbell lawn camera. We'll start with a recent doorbell cam recording, okay? Those are always terrifying. Every time I see one of these, first of all, I think of the Paranormal Activity franchise. I get so creeped out just looking at them. This video was submitted by Robert Parks. Now it shows the lawn, his front lawn, around 4 a.m. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a naked man appears. That's always fun. Yeah, he was trying to cover up his, goods, or not goods rather, but given the fact that he was still, naked, it was pretty horrifying after the fact. You can't hear it because we had to mute the audio, obviously, but he's yelling about snakes being all over him. Yeah, luckily police arrived and gave the man the help he needed, but imagine somebody going through a rough time. Like, I feel bad, but you also have to stay safe at the same time. You can't have a naked dude running inside your home talking about snakes on a plane or whatever. Number 9, Bigfoot caught on tape. This video is said to have caught the Russian Bigfoot himself. Also, Russian Bigfoot, another Bigfoot, are there many Bigfoots? We'll talk later. The exact location of where this video was taken is still unknown. In fact, there isn't a ton known about this video at all, hence why it's on our list today. But what we do know is that it was taken somewhere in Russia and that people believe it captures the real Bigfoot. It's a short clip that captures him, so I'm just gonna show you guys and then you can decide for yourselves. Comment down below. I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence personally. If Bigfoot was real, it's time we pay up. I mean, come on. This man's image has been used in the media for years. How is he paying his bills? Also, is there one Bigfoot or multiple? Is there a Russian Bigfoot? Is there a Canadian Bigfoot? Is Chris the Canadian Bigfoot? I don't know. Maybe. He wears a lot of plaid, who knows? Number 8, Matt doesn't live here. Okay, this one I need your help on. There's a backstory that I need to figure out right now. Back in 2016, in the middle of an August summer night, this man approaches. Again, topless, always a great sign, just naked dudes approaching homes all of a sudden. And he's slowly approaching and he's looking back at somebody off camera. He has a look like he's about to rob the place almost. It's kinda, he's doing this. He's kind of tiptoeing in and out, it's not looking good. But instead of knocking and running like we all did when we were 15 years old, he pretends to knock. He knocks the air and then pretends to ask somebody who's not there if Matt is home. I don't know if he did this so the other person could see, maybe it was like a prank or a dare, or maybe it was an attempt to break in and we just didn't really connect all the dots, or he didn't follow through with the plan, or he chickened out, I don't know. Either way, I'm glad nothing really bad happened. So creepy, either way. Number 7, Milgram experiment footage. This video comes to us from the 1960s and it's apparently from the experiment known as the Milgram experiment. Basically, the premise was that they got two groups of people, okay? One called the teachers and one called the learners. And they paired them up, one from each group. So far, so good? Awesome. The pair couldn't see each other, but the teacher would ask the learner a question. The teacher was then told to give them an electrical shock. Yeah, every question made the shocks get worse and worse until an eventual fatal shock would be administered.
It'll be 195 volts. The correct one.
Let me out of here.
Slow. Dance.
Get me out of here. My heart's bothering me.
Now, before the experiment, it was proposed that only 3% of the participants would go all the way and would actually give the fatal shock. But it turned out that under pressure, 65% of the teachers actually gave the lethal dose of electricity to their learner counterparts. Now, luckily the students were actually just actors, so nobody was truly getting hurt here, hence the experiment. But it is honestly very creepy to see on footage. We always heard about this, but seeing it happen, it does something in here that I don't really like. Number 6, TV head. Stepping away from the worst of the worst or the weird, whatever's going on in that last video, let's shine the spotlight on some, I guess, creative happenings, dare I say? Like for example, the guy wearing a TV on his head. Apparently, that's a thing now. Awesome. In Toronto, we have a guy that walks backwards around the city. And then here in Virginia, they have a guy who wears a TV on their head. So back in 2019, this man would appear all over in Virginia. He visited more than 50 residents in his time, and he would show up with a TV as a head, and then if that wasn't already creepy enough, he would leave an old TV on your doorstep in the middle of the night, and then just leave. That's so annoying to move. Also, it is pretty creepy. Many believe this man was inspired by the comic book series Saga. There's a race of TV alien heads. This could be a fan of, Prince Robot IV. Either way, this is annoying. You're walking on our property, you're leaving TVs. I wouldn't lift this up. Are you kidding? My brittle back? I couldn't lift a TV. I can't even lift a laptop now. Get out of here.
At number 5, frozen footage. Reddit user Trudenter shared a spooky work story that would make it even harder to get out of bed and head to work. He said that he worked at a place that required people to be there 24 hours a day. He was working the night shift and said the security on the building was pretty good. Bars on the window, multiple locked doors, the usual no one can get in without authorization setup. He said he was finishing up his shift when he heard a door close. After checking the cameras, he saw a person walking towards the room he was in. Thinking it was someone early for their shift, he waited, but when no one entered the room, the hairs on his neck started to rise. He said it not being a huge building, he would go and find the person from the tape. He came up empty-handed, but noticed a fire door had shut. Trudenter said he went to look back at the footage, but didn't have the password. He then said he sat with his spine tingling until the morning shift came in. He told his coworker what had happened, and he went home. When he asked them what they found on the footage, they said it showed the fire door closing, but then the video froze for about an hour. The next thing the camera caught was him reopening the door. Talk about shivers, I would never work the night shift alone again. At number 4, injured intruder. Just Stoic on Reddit shared the story of how she had no idea there was an intruder trying to break into her house until seeing the footage her home's camera caught of it happening. She said that she was living with her godparents at the time. Her godfather had returned from work at about 6 p.m. and asked why there was blood near the pool in the backyard. Just Stoic said she'd been in the room right next to the pool the whole time, so she had no idea what her godfather was on about. They both pulled up the security footage from the day, and sure enough, they figured out the answers. The footage showed a man jumping the fence in broad daylight, cutting himself on their barbed wire above the fence, and frantically looking for a way into the house through the back. The user said she had been maybe 10 feet from the intruder at one point and did not hear a thing. Scary to think what could have happened if a window had been left open. Dang, not even safe from people trying to break in with barbed wire around your house. Number 3, bike be gone. One Reddit user shared his scary security footage story, and it's definitely a head scratcher. The user explained he used to have an apartment near his office building, which was kinda secluded from the rest of the city's commercial district. Anyway, he said that he sold his apartment, and before moving he left his bike chained to the building's bike rack. He figured the bike would be okay in what he called the no man's land for a few days. Then in the middle of the week one day, he came to the office and
and noticed that the bike rack was completely empty. Since his office was close, he asked the IT guy to watch the security footage in order to catch the bike thief in action. The Reddit user said as he and the IT guy watched, they saw people leaving the office the night before, bike is still there, they kept watching, and all of a sudden the bike was gone. He said, we slowed the tape down and literally it was bike there and then poof, gone. The user then went on to say he assumed his bike got taken to the upside down. If that happened to me, I don't think I would ever sleep again knowing my bike just vanished into thin air. Number 2. School prank or poltergeist. There is a secondary school in Cork, Ireland called Deer Park Christian Brothers School. In October 2017, they released footage from a school security camera that caught some sort of ghost causing a ruckus in the hallway. The video shows a door being slammed open, lockers shaking, locker doors opening, and even the wet floor sign gets thrown around. The video was a viral hit, earning coverage from a wide variety of outlets, with the school's deputy principal telling them he had no idea how things were moving in the video. Wolf said, we couldn't understand how this had occurred. If it's a prank, it's very well done. After watching the video myself, I'm not even sure how a person could have pulled off the video either. To point even more fingers to it being a ghost, the school is built on a site known as Green Gallows, where in the 19th century criminals would go to be punished. And in the 19th century they weren't just throwing them in cells. Was it a tech-savvy student pulling a prank or the angry spirit of a criminal? And at number 1, ominous elevator ride. You may already know the story of the Cecil Hotel and Elisa Lam. You may have already seen the scary footage of her right before her passing, and it's unsettling. Basically, guests at the hotel in Los Angeles complained of low water pressure in their rooms. This caused employees to head up to the roof and check out the water tank. Instead of finding faulty wiring or a broken pipe, they found the body of poor Elisa Lam. She was a young woman traveling on her own. Police were obviously called to investigate, and what they found on the security tape is creepy. The footage she appeared in before the incident was from an elevator, and something was just not right about it all. In it, Lam seemingly speaks to someone, presses all the buttons, and peeks her head out almost as though looking for a person she was scared of. The video has been dissected by law enforcement and conspiracy theorists, but we still have no idea what really happened to Lam. The footage is really ominous, and it only added more confusion as to how she ended up in that water tank.
Number 10. Springfield clowns. Y'all remember how in 2016 there were clowns literally everywhere? They were just plaguing everywhere in the United States, and while some seemed like pranks, it seems like others used a clown costume to commit crimes. Regardless, it was scary and a time I'll never forget. Now, for those of you who don't know, the sightings began earlier than this, with many reported in the US in 2014. One state hit especially hard was Florida, in particular the Springfield neighborhood in Jacksonville. Compilations of clowns captured on home security cameras reached the internet, with news outlets picking them up. The footage was everywhere. Then by mid-October 2016, clown sightings and attacks had been reported in nearly all US states, 9 out of 13 provinces and territories in Canada, and in 18 other countries. It's just scary and unnerving, and I can't imagine sitting at home and looking out the window at night and seeing a clown staring back at me. I honestly think I would cry. Number 9. Nanny cam. Ellen and Nathan Ridgely suddenly woke up to the sound of sexual language coming from their young son's room. Ellen said that her immediate reaction was that there was somebody in there, somebody's in my son's room. When the couple jumped out of bed and turned the light on, the monitor camera in their room, which was previously turned off, was activated. Someone hacked into it, and the hacker, speaking through the camera, told the couple to turn the light off. When they didn't comply, he said, "I'm going to your son, I'm in your son's room." The father ran upstairs to his son's room but found him safe and sound. That's when they realized that their cameras had been hacked and the hacker was bluffing. Now they immediately turned off their Wi-Fi and called the police to report the incident. The family threw out their monitors and now use cameras that don't use Wi-Fi. Nest, the monitor manufacturer, was also notified about the attack, and they told NBC News that such attacks could happen if customers use passwords which were previously leaked due to a data breach. They did not, however, confirm that this has been the cause of this specific attack, and the company advised all their customers to change their factory passwords to two-factor authentication, and if they notice any suspicious behavior, to contact Nest directly. Number 8. The Masked Man. Finding a masked man at your front door in the middle of the night can be pretty scary, but when that man returns to your home 3 times in 1 week, it's downright frightening, blogger for Ring explains. They said this because that's exactly what happened to a family in Milford, Connecticut
Connecticut. After just a couple days into their vacation, where they were more than 100 miles away from their home, Ring alerted them that a masked man was at their front door. Though he couldn't break in, he returned a few days later. Now, despite the family sending the videos to police and local news stations, the man returned again. This time, however, he was arrested, and thank God. But with someone that persistent, I feel like you have to give them some props. Number 7. Covering up a crime. In the early hours of August 13, 2018, American oil field operator Chris Watts ended the life of his wife and 2 daughters. He buried his wife in a shallow grave near an oil storage facility and dumped his daughters' bodies into crude oil tanks. Now, Chris initially maintained his innocence in his family's disappearance, but was arrested on August 15th after confessing to ending the life of his wife in an interview with detectives. He also later admitted to ending the lives of his daughters too. Now, on November 6, 2018, he pleaded guilty to multiple counts of first-degree homicide as part of a plea deal with the death penalty and was sentenced to 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole, 3 to be served consecutively. Now, during the investigation, a neighbor showed Chris and a police their CCTV footage, hoping they could see what happened to his wife and daughters. They watched the footage and you can see Chris back his car into his driveway, and he can be seen loading a gas can into the bed of his truck. Next, the video shows Chris backing the vehicle into his home's garage. Now, investigators believe Chris used that very truck to transport the bodies of his families to a remote oil worksite where they were found days later. Prosecutors believe that Chris, after backing the truck into the garage, likely placed the 3 bodies in the bed before driving them to the oil work site. Now, it's terrifying that no one knew this happened and that it was all practically recorded. Number 6. Fresno night crawlers. I can't even think of an explanation for this, so be prepared to be puzzled. In 2007, Fresno homeowner Jose managed to capture footage of what looks like a pair of pants walking on their own. Like, no one is wearing them, just jeans strolling along his driveway. His dogs barked at these puzzling creatures as they passed by his home, as they should, but Jose only saw them after reviewing the footage. These beings baffled him as well as the investigators of the sci-fi docuseries Fact or Fake Paranormal Files, who deem the suspicious attacks unconfirmable. While there are doubters who believe that it's all a hoax, others think they are of alien origin. There has been speculation online that they're figures from Native American lore, but with little to support it, it seems like we'll never really know what was taking a midnight stroll that night.
In our number 5 spot, we have the time traveler from 1938. In this clip, we see a group of girls walking and talking, and one of the girls in particular is walking and talking into what looks to be a cell phone. Yes, a cell phone in 1938. The first cell phone is only known to have been invented in 1973, so the fact that she's talking on what looks to be a flip phone is impossible, right? Well, even though this video has made its rounds online, it's still quite suppressed, and it's surprising how people have still not seen it. Could it possibly be due to the fact that it exposes that time travel may exist? That would certainly be concerning to the CIA. Which brings me to our number 4 spot, the 1928 time traveler. This video clip is from an older movie and time than the time traveler clip before, but it is no less suspicious. It is yet another clip that has been suppressed due to the nature of it possibly being concerning to the CIA or anyone wanting time travel to be covered up. It's a clip from a Charlie Chaplin movie called The Circus, where a rather fancy dressed woman is talking into a device that is being held to her ear. Now, you could say, could that not be a walkie-talkie if not a cell phone? Nope. Even the walkie-talkie wasn't invented until the 30s. This woman is without a doubt talking into a device held to her ear, and so if it is not a portable phone, then I have no idea what it is. What do you think she's holding in her hand and talking to? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. In our number 3 spot, we have the alleyway shapeshifter. Okay, this is one of the craziest videos I have ever seen of a shapeshifter, and it's wild to me that this video has been suppressed. Well, maybe not wild, because I guess the shapeshifters clearly don't want people to know that they exist, and so, they throw themselves into movie plots like Captain Marvel so you don't think twice about the idea of their existence, and you chalk it up to an idea being something that you just see in movies. So I suppose it's not that surprising that this video is not more known. Anyways, here we have footage of a person that goes into an alleyway that is semi-lit and stands still, and then what appears to be a dark shadow leaves its body and walks away, and the person remains frozen. This clip has been heavily debated for some time now, but apparently it's completely authentic and kinda unexplainable. Of course, the CIA would be concerned about it. In our number 2 spot, we have the NBC shapeshifter. This is a crazy clip from 1995 that is one of the first reptile men clips you can find on the internet. If you haven't ever heard of the theory of the reptile man, well, it goes like this. People believe that as far back as the ancient Mesopotamia times that reptile people have existed among us humans. A lot of people believe that Hollywood is specifically where a lot of them reside. Anyways, this is a clip of an NBC reporter from the 90s by the name of Isaiah Carey, who was in the middle of filming when he swallowed a grasshopper. If you zoom in to the point where he swallows it, you can observe him having an abnormally large, somewhat pointy tongue, and the color is slightly green. The reporter turned away from the camera right as this happened. Most people think that he turned away from the camera to hide his tongue, which is possible, but one could argue that it's more likely because this is something so gross and embarrassing that happened on live TV. Do you think this is a reptile man, and perhaps the CIA has suppressed this video due to the fact that it could reveal this alien race? Let me know in the comment section down below. In our number 1 spot, we have the fast UFO. This is more footage that the US government released showing an unidentifiable object in the sky. In this footage, you actually see an object moving in the sky, and we can kind of pick up on the fact that it's an unusual shape. This particular UFO is moving pretty fast, and the camera is having a hard time keeping up. There's no question though that this is something that we've never seen before. The Pentagon wouldn't have released it if it didn't feel that it has validity. This was the final of the 3 Pentagon videos that were declassified and shared with us common folk. Oh, why thank you government for telling us that it's possible that alien life has come to Earth. As if we didn't already know this, and as if we are not aware of the fact that you definitely have more footage that you're keeping from us.
Start off the list with a video uploaded on the YouTube channel Matt Studios. This one features something very similar to the Backrooms internet phenomenon, the pool rooms. Large, oddly constructed indoor swim pools that have an odd, dreamlike feel to them. But this video combines both, which I really like. We start off in a space very similar to your standard Backrooms setting. Our camera person roams through a large, empty office space with the garish yellow lighting and dull buzz of the cheap VHS camera rolling. Soon, they find a small, dark, square-shaped passage in one of the walls, and they squat down to start crawling through it. And on the other side, they find themselves in this large indoor pool area. It's stuff like this that I really love about these types of videos. You find yourself asking questions like, why was this place constructed in this way? Why are there corridors that seem to lead nowhere? And how is it that you can only access the pool through a crawl space in an office building? Your brain just can't wrap itself around it, and it creates this unsettling feeling in the pit of your stomach. Something is off. You just can't quite explain why. And the pool room is an eerie world in its own. Pleasant looking at first glance, but the more it's explored, the more ominous it feels, with its unlit corridors leading to and containing who knows what. Next up, we have the Backrooms informational video. This one is brought to us by the one who started it all, Kane Pixels. I guess he didn't really start it, but definitely popularized it. And it's another super well done video, very eerie and unsettling. This one starts off as an informational video, the type of instructional video you'd watch when starting a new job, specifically one that involves some type of danger or risk to your health. And the Backrooms are certainly dangerous. This video really builds on the lore of the Backrooms, which is definitely interesting, although I do like the mystery surrounding the idea. The unknown is what we often fear most of all, which I think the Backrooms exemplifies perfectly. And this video does a good job of giving you more context while not revealing it too much. There's still a lot that your brain is trying to fill in. There's something really unsettling about the opening instructional video portion of this this video though. It's so strange in context, but there's something familiar about it as well. It has the grain of an old VHS tape you'd watch in your elementary school science class, but there's something off about it, almost dreamlike once again, and I'll probably say this a lot in this video, but I think that's what the Backrooms does so well. It's a mix of the unknown, an unsettling, isolating space between spaces mixed with that nostalgia. Number 8 on the list, we have found footage number 1, uploaded to YouTube by Higana. This is just a very well done Backrooms video. You have all the hallmarks here, the liminal space, the yellow lighting, and this one, we get the horrifying backroom entity. There's a shot where you just see it standing off in the distance, making that unnatural, heavily distorted howling sound, and we get a fantastic jump scare here where the camera person turns away just for a second. When they turn back, the thing is way closer than it was before, and it's coming for them. Imagining just being in this situation is utterly chilling. I gotta play a Backrooms VR game or something. Anyone ever done that? Let me know. It would just be amazing. I've never even tried VR before, so Backrooms version, that would be quite the first time experience. Probably not recommended either. Next on the list, we have Shifting Rooms. This one was uploaded by the Odd Real YouTube channel, and it's another one that combines the Backrooms with a pool rooms type liminal space. It's a very ominous video. All these videos are pretty ominous, but this one is visually darker. There's just something that feels really dark about it. It starts off with the cameraman filming an old PC computer, when suddenly they're in an odd room and discover a tunnel, and they start sliding into it. Reminds me of one of those tube slides from when I was a kid, but smaller, more claustrophobic. You also hear what sounds to be heavily reverberated audio from the Disney Alice in Wonderland cartoon, which really adds to the theme of this person entering into a different, strange dimension. Once they're out of the tunnel, they find themselves in a darkly lit indoor pool area, and then they start exploring this strange space where there are these thin, dark corridors built into the walls. Again, why is this building constructed? Again, what has this building been constructed for, and what purpose does it serve? It's unknown, and throughout the video you hear audio which seems to be coming from some unknown source as you continue moving through this large, cold, empty building. Great job on the Odd Reel. Definitely worth checking out this one. Alright, next up we have Soup. This next video is brought to us by YouTube creator Crispy VFX. It's brilliant because it combines the Backrooms with one of the internet's most infamously disturbing videos, and it's done really well. When it hits, it hits. Have you ever seen a creepy video online in some drab, ominous looking room and thought, what if I found myself in the same building where this video is, right in this eerie place that I'm thankfully separated from, just observing it through my computer screen? Well, this POV found footage style video places the viewer in that exact situation. Ever seen that weird old video, the guy eating ramen noodles with the mysterious man in the costume standing behind him? Well, this video takes us from the Backrooms into that space. Fantastic idea and really well executed. This looks like old grimy VHS footage, and the sound design is so unsettling. I think that's another aspect that makes up not just a good Backrooms video, but any good scary video.
At number 5 is Hell House LLC. If you're a fan of horror and found footage, you might have heard of the infamous Abaddon Hotel in Rockland County, New York. This place has a sinister history that's the stuff of nightmares. In a chilling documentary, the crew investigates a mysterious accident that took the lives of 15 people, including the Hell House company staff and their first group of attendees. The crew's pursuit of answers leads them to Sarah Havel, the sole survivor from the Hell House team. Her footage unveils a series of unexpected events hinting at the hotel's connection to a satanic cult, but things actually are about to get a lot more twisted from here. After watching the eerie tapes, Michael, a crew member, decides to contact Diane, the producer. However, he stumbles upon something too horrifying to describe. When Diane and her cameraman break into the Abaddon Hotel, they discovered a room level 2C where they believe Sarah was supposed to be staying, but there's no escaping the malevolent forces from within. Sarah, the person they've been speaking to this entire time, is no more than a mere ghostly apparition, and there was never any survivors to begin with. As they realize the truth, the camera captures their terrifying demise, leaving you to question the boundaries of reality and the supernatural. Watch this at your peril, but be prepared for sleepless nights. At number 4 is The Horror in the High Desert. This is the unsolved mystery of Gary Hinge, the amateur hiker who ventured into the heart of the Great Basin Desert, only to disappear without a trace. It all began in July of 2017 when Gary set out from the town of Ruth, Nevada on a solo expedition to a cabin he'd previously encountered. Days turned into weeks, and as his housemate Simon Rogers grew increasingly concerned, the police were called in. A massive search operation ensued, but it turned up nothing, as Gary's truck was discovered 55 miles from Ruth. But here's where it gets bizarre. The truck was teeming with fingerprints that didn't belong to Gary, and barefoot fingerprints led away from it, not matching his own. And then the investigation took a digital turn. Gary was a YouTube vlogger known as Scorpion Sam with a sizable following. His last video recounted a strange encounter near the cabin, but it was met with skepticism. Weeks later, hikers stumbled upon Gary's backpack containing a gruesome find: his severed hand clutching a video camera. Analysts revealed that the hand had been severed while he was alive no more than 5 weeks earlier. The camera unveiled the truth. At number 3 is Lake Mungo. This documentary starts about a family grappling with the loss of their teenage daughter who drowned. There's no gore, no creepy creatures, just a sense of unease. The slow burn of this film works like a psychological vice, tightening with each revelation. If you watch in a dark room right before bed, the atmosphere becomes oppressive. You're drawn into the web of grief and the unknown, and then it happens. An image so unexpected and terrifying that it's seared into your memory. Lake Mungo proves that the most chilling horrors aren't supernatural entities, but the depths of human emotion. And don't be surprised if you lose some sleep. At number 2 is The Last Broadcast. Before The Blair Witch, we had The Last Broadcast, and this obscure mockumentary takes us on a spine-tingling journey into the dark depths of the New Jersey Pine Barrens, where a group of filmmakers met a gruesome fate while documenting the Jersey Devil. The film's vintage aesthetic doesn't just add an old school charm, it enhances the realism, immersing you in the horrifying tale. As it unfolds, reality and fiction seamlessly merge, leaving you questioning what's real, and the result is a vital indie film, one that leaves a haunting mark. When the chilling reveal comes, it's a punch to the gut. The Last Broadcast isn't just for the faint of heart, but if you dare to watch, prepare for a cursed experience like no other. Man-Eater Tragedy. Released in 1980, it's a notorious film credited with pioneering the found footage horror genre. The exploitation classic follows an American documentary crew whose cruelty towards a native Amazon tribe results in the gruesome end. It's infamous for its disturbing, realistic, unaliving scenes and its relentless brutality. The film's shocking portrayal of violence and the eerie ethics of filmmaking has sparked debates and controversies for decades. While it's considered a transgressive masterpiece, it's not for the faint of heart, and watching it may leave you with images you cannot erase. I am serious, you guys.
Number 10 is Bali Hotel. Graphic designer Paulina Achalute went viral on TikTok in 2022 after exploring a completely abandoned hotel in Bali. In a series of TikToks that have racked up almost 30 million views in total, Paulina and her partner explored the empty resort with 266 rooms left in near perfect condition. The video begins with a before and after shot showing just how eerie the site is. Paulina has not been able to find any history on the hotel, but believes it was suddenly abandoned around 2020, and no one seems to know why. She said the last reviews of the hotel guests were written in 2020, so I guess it became abandoned throughout that year. The place was completely open, there were no signs of closure, no fence, or anything like that. If anything, at the beginning we thought it was a functioning hotel, as we noticed 2 helmets placed on the ground by its reception, so we thought someone is still in the hotel. Now the footage shows different areas of the venue, including the entrance, which has been taken over by nature, as well as various rooms, dining spaces, and trinkets that Paulina discovered. Now some rooms are still made up for guests who will never arrive, with furniture, towels, leaflets, and toilet paper in place. Later, Paulina and her partner even found plates with half-eaten food on the table, as well as documents in the staff room. Now this is truly haunting. It's like everyone just magically disappeared. Number 9. Pripyat Amusement Park. The Pripyat Amusement Park is an abandoned amusement park located in Pripyat, Ukraine. It was to have its grand opening on May 1st, 1986, in time for the May Day celebrations, but these plans were cancelled on April 26th when the Chernobyl disaster occurred only a few kilometers away. Several sources report that the park was open for a short time on April 27th to locals, but they were forced to evacuate as reports of dangerously high levels of radiation in the area started to emerge, something inhabitants and authorities were unaware of the day of the nuclear incident. Now, radiation levels around the park vary. The liquidators washed radiation into the soil after the helicopters carrying radioactive materials used the grounds as a landing strip, so concreted areas are less radioactive. Today, the park remains untouched and the unused rides are disintegrating or consumed with mold. Many explorers go to this abandoned place to see what could have been. Number 8. Lennox Castle. Lennox Castle in Scotland was built in 1812 for John Lennox Casside Lennox. He was supposedly a distant relative of the Clan Cansyd, who were descendants of some of the most notable ancient earls of Lennox. The castle was home to the important Scottish family until it was converted into an asylum for the mentally ill in the 1930s and a hospital during World War II, when the existing mentally ill patients were transferred to other buildings on the property. Apparently, fights among the patients were common, and in one particularly bad fight, much of the staff, along with uninvolved patients, ran from the hospital. The rioters were locked inside, and in the end, they significantly damaged the ward. Now, the hospital was vacated by the 1980s and officially closed in 2002. There's now talk of converting the building into flats, but for now, it lies abandoned, decaying, as there was a fire there in 2008. Number 7. Linwood Hall. Linwood Hall is a neoclassical revival mansion in Elkins Park, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. It's the 12th largest historic house in the US, and it features a whopping 110 rooms, like a ballroom that can accommodate 1,000 guests. It once held the most important private art collection of European masterpieces in the country. It was built in the 1900s for Peter Errol Brown Winneter, a businessman who became wealthy from investing in public transit and meat packing, among other things. Now, he had 3 sons, one of whom died on the Titanic, and he lived in the house until he died in 1915. His son Joseph inherited the mansion and lived there until he died in 1943, and no surviving members of the family, even his children, wanted to take on the responsibility of the place. By 1945, his estate was valued at $98,368,058. A developer later tried to sell Linwood, but the only taker was a fundamentalist preacher, Carl McIntyre, who bought the home in 1952 for $192,000. Now, it went into foreclosure in 2006 when the McIntyre organization couldn't pay the mortgage, and it lies abandoned to this day. Now, I can't imagine exploring this place as it is huge. There are still tables and chairs set up, as well as furniture, and the inside of the pool lays filled with debris. Number 6. Lai Family Mansion. Built in 1929, the Megong Ghost House, aka the Lai Family Mansion, is a freaky place with a heartbreaking history. Located in the Taiwanese countryside, it's been abandoned since the 1950s when the family fled abruptly. Now, there's plenty of stories for why the family left, but the main story is that the family's maid was having an affair with her employer, Lai Rongyu, and when the secret became public, she died after jumping down a well. A few years later, the property was occupied by members of the Kuomintang of China, KMT, many of whom were also thought to have died by ending their own lives, which exacerbated its reputation as haunted. Today, it sits untouched with nature and strange paintings overtaking the outside of the building.
And number 5 is this organic drone. Now, what you're about to witness is a perplexing 15-second clip of someone using Google Earth to explore Japan, only to stumble upon a bizarre, unidentified flying object. It bears a resemblance to a drone, yet its eerie, organic appearance defies any human-made explanation. Could this be an extraterrestrial entity discreetly surveying our world? The enigma surrounding this footage raises eyebrows, and it's perplexing why no official statement or disclosure has been made. Is this an elaborate hoax or an undisclosed government experiment, or potentially an authentic close encounter? Possibilities are boundless. And number 4 is clip095.mp4, a cryptic enigma ensnared in a mere 15 seconds of unsettling footage, beckons curiosity, but heed the FBI's cautionary warning. At first glance, it appears as a haphazard concoction of disconcerting VHS elements. Masked figures veiled in ambiguity creep ominously. An eerie clock-like object looms, and its significance eluding comprehension. The undertone of dread lingers, akin to being late for an inexplicable appointment. Now, why, you might wonder, does the FBI warn against delving deeper into this mysterious abyss? Is this a sinister experiment gone awry, or perhaps an encrypted message veiled within this unusual visual discord? Clip 095.mp4 is a digital Pandora's box, tempting the curious to brave its haunting mysteries. At number 3 is the NBC shapeshifter footage from 1995, a piece of unsettling media that delves deep into the realm of conspiracy theories. Enter the reptile man hypothesis, a belief system suggesting that humanoid reptilian beings have coexisted with humanity since the ancient days of Mesopotamia, with many suspecting Hollywood as their clandestine hub. This peculiar clip follows NBC reporter Isaiah Carey during a routine 90s broadcast, but things take a bizarre turn. Carey nonchalantly engulfs a grasshopper, yet upon closer examination, we're confronted with a perplexing sight. An unusually elongated, somewhat pointed tongue and an offbeat shade, a hint of green. In a curious move, Carey averts his gaze from the camera just as this peculiar act unfolds, sparking conjecture. Was this an attempt to conceal a reptilian trait, or perhaps a reaction to an embarrassing, stomach-churning moment? Could the CIA be suppressing this video to shield the existence of an alien race? Share your thoughts in the comments. The truth may be stranger than we dare to imagine. At number 2 is the movie Incantation on Netflix, the Taiwanese horror gem directed by Kevin Ko, which plunges viewers into a spine-chilling world of found footage. Lee Ronan's documentary journey to reunite with her daughter Dodo takes a sinister turn when a haunting taboo from their past resurfaces. The suspense builds as Ronan's group, including her boyfriend Dom and friend Yuan, unwittingly stumbles upon a malevolent cult ceremony in a forbidden tunnel, invoking a curse that binds their fates. Dodo's descent into the paranormal, encountering eerie baddies and a paralyzing chant, keeps us on the edge of our seats. Ronan's quest to unveil the malevolent entity, the Mother Buddha, and a sinister incantation tied to an ominous hand symbol. But the film's shocking twist at the end comes when Ronan reveals that she intentionally misled us, the viewers, sharing the incantation to dilute the curse, effectively cursing us. Desperate to save Dodo, Ronan faces the Mother Buddha's visage, bearing the curse's weight until she meets a tragic end. However, there is a glimmer of hope as we realize that we, the viewers, are now a part of the curse, forever entangled in the film's eerie narrative, which is a chilling and immersive experience unlike any other in the horror genre. Incantation leaves us with lingering dread, reminding us that we're not just spectators, we're cursed participants in this haunting tale. At number 1 is the Russian sleep experiment. The Russian sleep experiment is a chilling tale rooted in the depths of the internet's urban legends, which takes us back to the dark days of the 1940s. See, Soviet scientists allegedly embarked on a twisted journey using an experimental gas-based stimulant to keep 5 political prisoners awake for 15 harrowing days. No CCTV back then, just microphones and thick glass windows for surveillance. As the days ticked by, the subjects' conversations grew darker, more serious, hinting at the creeping vulnerability that sleep deprivation induces. Around day 5, the subjects began to display signs of severe paranoia. They whispered secrets into the microphones, desperately seeking release. Then came the screaming on the 9th day. One subject ran amok, tearing his own vocal cords out, while the others remained eerily calm, whispering secrets and plotting. But the worst was yet to come. The researchers discovered a grotesque scene on day 14. 4 subjects still technically alive, but mutilated beyond recognition, consuming their own flesh. When the soldiers attempted to remove them, chaos ensued, with one soldier losing his life. In the aftermath, the survivors showcased inexplicable resilience and an insatiable thirst for the gas that kept them awake. They were the embodiment of a darkness lurking within us all, a madness kept at bay by sleep. The tale ends with the chilling revelation as one of them utters their final word, "So nearly free."
Ever hear something in your basement and wonder if there's someone or something moving around down there? This first video comes from Millennial Bro on YouTube, who posted it just under a week before Halloween in 2015. Perfect time to spot a shadow person sneaking around in your basement, right? He wrote in the description that he'd heard a voice coming from downstairs. At the start of the video, he calls out to whoever or whatever is down there, announcing that he's turning on the light and is gonna come down to check things out. For most of this minute-long clip, he just pans the camera around his empty basement. Doesn't seem to be anyone there. But then, this happens.
Whoa, Jesus!
And that is not the end of it. The next day he captured another video, this one even scarier than the last. He wrote in the description, "I was hearing noises and voices from the basement again, and after having caught something last time on my other video, I began to record again. This is what happened."
I heard some noises again. Hello? Oh!
Did you hear that whisper? Let's play that last bit a couple more times. Yeah, so at this point, I'd be gone. But just seconds after he hears that eerie whispering noise, this happens. Did you see that? Happens fast, but keep your eyes on the bottom of the stairs. Yeah, I wouldn't have stuck around that house for Halloween that year. This video was posted on TikTok on Halloween Day in 2020 by Hola Peter. So these kids were alone in their grandparents' house. The power went out, so the adults had gone out to get some candles. But then weird stuff started to happen. It all began when they heard noises coming from outside. That's when the kids started filming, creeping around the house to see what they could find. Eventually, they made their way out the back door. Let's see if you can spot something here.
Hermano quiere hacer pipí, pero el baño está allá. Y mi abuela nos dijo que cuidáramos.
Yeah, did you see that? As the camera pans to the left, you see this dark shape poking its head around the corner and then pulling back in. Well, the kid behind the camera decides to investigate further. Slowly moves his way around the corner. Not only do we hear a weird knocking noise, but we see there's something hiding in that shed around the corner. And just moments later, this is what happens. On October 22nd, 2021, WNYT News in Albany, New York, posted this creepy clip from a story they'd covered in Green Ridge Cemetery in Saratoga County. Reporter Sam Hessler was in the cemetery at night talking about night tours they were doing there over the Halloween season. When the story aired, though, someone spotted something in the background and reached out at the station. Take a look at the background on the left-hand side of the screen. Here it is, slowed down a little bit. Now, what exactly was that? In most instances, I probably wouldn't think much of this, but seeing as this happened at a graveyard at night in late October, I'm gonna have to go with ghost. This next video was posted on Halloween Day in 2021 by Urbex Hill, who had quite the experience at Molly Stark Sanatorium in Ohio. The video is eerie from the jump because the place is just so old and decrepit, plus it is an abandoned tuberculosis hospital, so even if you don't believe in ghosts, I think you'd find it hard not to get creeped out in a place like this. But then, this happens. Now, it's hard to hear on camera, but there are some thumping noises coming from the floor above. But it gets even crazier. A little later on, there's a door in the hallway that moves on its own. Then, he makes his way to this tunnel, and this is where things get really unsettling. Now, he starts to hear extra footsteps at the end of the tunnel in front of him.
Those are creepy as fuck. Okay, I heard something.
Did you hear those footsteps, like drifting through the tunnel after he'd stopped walking? It's not an echo, like it goes on for a good bit. Now, as he continues through, he keeps hearing footsteps in front of him, but he never actually sees anyone. That is, until he does. Notice how this white figure kind of appears out of the darkness and then retreats back into it. It looks like someone walking in and out of the darkness. I mean, it really just looks like there's someone there, and that's even what Urbex Hill thought. Until he made it further ahead and realized it was a dead end. There was nobody there. There was no way anyone could have been there. It was then that he decided to get the hell out of there.
And is Safe Haven from VHS2. I'm kicking off this list with Safe Haven because I know some of you guys are gonna seek out these videos against my better judgment. So out of all the entries on this list, if you're gonna watch anything, it better be this one. Safe Haven is a short in VHS2 which takes you deep into the heart of Indonesian horror, and unless you speak Indonesian, you're gonna wanna watch with some subtitles, because there ain't any English to be found here. The recovered footage is from a news crew as they infiltrate an eerie cult's remote compound, hoping to expose their dark secrets. But what unfolds is a descent into pure terror. The brutality is in your face, and it all looks gut-wrenchingly real. If this short succeeds at anything, it's cranking up the tension because you're gonna feel your heart race. The found footage earned critical acclaim and reputation and was one of the best found footage horror experiences ever, so brace yourself for a bone-chilling experience as you witness the cult's nightmarish ritual. But keep in mind, it's definitely not for the faint of heart, nor is any of the rest of the videos in this list. At number 9 is The Sacrament, which is essentially Jim Jones found footage. Is a retelling of the events in Jonestown where the pastor caused a mass unaliving, this time featuring Vice journalists who come into the heart of this eerie community, once thought to be a utopia. This cursed found footage unveils the sinister underbelly of religious leader known as the Father, aka Jim Jones, and his twisted followers. The documentary team unwaveringly investigates this secluded compound as they're met with increasing suspicion and deception from the cult. Father's charisma turns to menace, and the utopian community morphs into a nightmare. With cyanide-laced drinks, the hostages, and mass unalivings, it's a descent into madness to say the very least. If you're enjoying this video so far, please support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Most Amazing, and ringing that notification bell. At number 8 is the Slumber Party Alien Abduction. I love this one because the camera is strapped to a doggy. I don't love it because of what happens to the doggy, but I'm happy there's a dog in it. Here you've got Gary, Randy, Sean, Denny, Jen, and Zach. They decide to film their lakeside escapades by strapping a camera to their dog, Tank, a Yorkshire Terrier on a mission to capture all the fun, but things take a sinister turn when gray aliens decide to crash the party, lurking beneath the water as the group swims. As night falls, chaos ensues. The aliens plunge the house into darkness, creating chaos and snatching up Zach in a blink. They terrorize the rest of the gang, dragging them off in their sleeping bags with plans to drown them in the lake. Only Gary, Randy, and Jen, and Tank the doggy, manage to bolt, but their escape plan gets tanked when Tank barks and leads the aliens right to them. Come on, buddy. It's a full-blown horror show with fake police lights turning out to be a trap, and the abductions left and right. Gary gets lifted into the air by alien tractor beams while Tank, injured and alone, watches as the camera's battery fades. This one is a real chiller. At number 7 is The Borderlands. In this chilling tale, 3 Vatican investigators venture into a 13th century church with sinister secrets hidden deep within the walls. When they roll up, the priest tries to win them over with footage of objects moving on the altar, but still the film crew remains skeptical. That night, local hooligans burn a sheep outside of their digs, and it's getting weird. To make a long story short, they end up discovering an eerie door with pagan symbols leading to a dark, hellish descent, echoing with cries and screams, and things just go from bad to worse. As they journey into the depths, they uncover a horrifying history of sacrifice and a minister gone pagan. And then, it takes a surreal, stomach-turning twist as they're all forced to crawl through a tiny, smelly passageway, which is eventually revealed to be part of a monstrous digestive system secreting enzymes to devour the crew and leaving no trace of them behind, except for their camera. At number 6, Butterfly Kisses. Our story here starts with Gavin York, a struggling wedding videographer and film school dropout. He stumbles upon this collection, and well, curiosity gets the best of him. These tapes belong to a documentary created by 2 film students, Sophia and Feldman, back in 2004. They were on a mission to prove the existence of a chilling urban legend, Peeping Tom. Now this Peeping Tom character, you can supposedly summon him by staring down Ilchester Tunnel at midnight for a whole hour without blinking. Sounds terrifying, right? But here's the kicker. When they review the footage, they realize that Peeping Tom isn't just a legend, he's actually inside of the camera, stalking them. Sophia's left alone in a nightmarish struggle. Fast forward to Galvin, who's set on proving Peeping Tom's existence. He brings in a documentary crew, but things take a dark turn. Questions arise about the authenticity of the tapes and Sophia Feldman's existence and the possibility of it all being just a hoax. Galvin's obsession wreaks havoc on his personal life and he finds himself alone, abandoned by his family. And despite his efforts to gain credibility, Galvin is mocked and humiliated. Final blow comes when he vanishes inside Ilchester Tunnel, and 9 days later, his mangled body is discovered in a hotel room.
Number 6, Shark Circle. Cool, all the fears in one video. Let's do it. See, this is where I can get behind drone videos. This is where I like drones. Just this one time. The ocean, right? We have no idea what's in there, in the top or the bottom. So let's fly over and see if there's any treasure or shipwrecks laying around. Much safer. Even for rescue purposes, right? If someone's in a cave, maybe they're spelunking and they go missing. Well, send in a little drone. Don't send in more people to get stuck. I should be like a guy in the chair who like controls them. That's kind of fun. This next clip here shows surfers from South Africa not realize that they're paddling around a circle of sharks. Yeah, they looked at the footage afterwards and they were like, oh, we were almost lunch. How lovely. Now, I've swam with sharks before. I don't think sharks are the worst ever, obviously. I'm not endorsing that. But the circling part, the number of them and the circling, nah, I'm good. Number 5, massive whirlpool. This next one here will get a certain group of people. Again, me, I'm not a fan of large bodies of water or the ocean or circles of sharks. But murky water, like murky lakes, they're on my big fear list. I don't like those. I don't like putting my foot in a dirty lake. Back in February 2017, while waters were rising at Lake Berryessa in California's Napa Valley, the Glory Hole spillway, don't you dare laugh at that. The Glory Hole spillway did what life intended it to do. Did some spilling, there you go. Now thankfully a drone guy was nearby, always handy, those drone guys. So now we get to watch the horrors from above. Take a look. It's also terrifying too when the water is not up that high, because now you have this massive pipe just emerging out of the lake, which, I mean, that's a bit worse of a fear in my opinion. Number 4, inside of a volcano. Awesome, just gives away everything in the title. If you're near an active volcano, don't film it. Just imagine it's the movie Dante Peak and run. Run far away for an hour and 46 minutes. Unless you're an expert. In that case, sure, put on your cool Iron Man spacesuit and then go sacrifice a couple of drones. Do it in the name of science, and then we'll watch and click the like button. A team of National Geographic explorers and scientists, well, they did just that, and it's very impressive. They had to sacrifice 2 drones to get up close to this active Merom crater on the Abram volcano in Vanuatu. Take a look. And also, shield your eyes, it's quite hot.
Iron-rich, which layers are sulfur-rich. Within the caldera as a whole, there's certainly life. Coating the walls as you go down, on some of the surfaces down at the bottom, almost certainly there's a high microbial constituency.
The volcano has a 7.5 mile wide caldera, and its active craters contain lava lakes that flow forever. So, number 3, Corvette sinkhole. I feel like this point is terrifying for a very specific group of people. Only if you're a Corvette guy. If you're watching, then, you know, you've been warned. Otherwise, it's just an epic fail, really. I'm glad nobody got hurt, if anything. In a bizarre turn of events, a sinkhole opened up inside of the National Corvette Museum in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Yeah, inside of the museum, it just whoom, and then everything fell in. This was back in 2014. Now, like I said, luckily, nobody was around when the portal to the underworld opened up, but 8 Corvettes did get swallowed. 8 Corvettes bit the bullet. The devil wanted those 8 Corvettes for a very specific reason. I don't know. Maybe he likes to ride in style. He likes the roof off type vibe, you know? The Bowling Green Daily News reports that the sinkhole was not small. No, it was 20 feet deep and 40 feet wide in diameter. Now again, this all happened at 5:38 a.m. in the dome area of the museum, so no injuries. But if you're a car guy, this one's bad news. Prepare yourselves, here we go. The 8 cars claimed by the sinkhole included the 1993 ZR1 Spider, a 2009 Blue Devil ZR1, ironic, Blue Devil, that's why he wants it, and even the 1993 40th anniversary Corvette. Yikes, all in that hole. Whoops, what are the odds? Now the 2 ZR1s were on loan from General Motors, while the rest of the cars, well, they were just owned by the museum, so just a big L, very expensive L in my opinion. Sinkholes in this part of Kentucky are apparently not uncommon, so keep your head up, I guess. It sits on what geologists refer to as a karst region, where there are many underground caves and springs. Now, funny enough, engineers determined that the museum remains structurally sound. Still wouldn't catch me in there, no way. Sinkhole or not, I'm never gonna go to a Corvette museum in my life, probably. But if you're a car guy, hey, there you go. Number 2, bikes. Yeah, I bet you didn't think I would put bikes on this list, did ya? Well, think again, pal. It's one thing to see a city thriving and growing, like with many people, but especially that many people on bikes and bikers doing wacky lane change movements, it's a lot. But to see abandoned bikes just piled up, that's just sad. I'd rather see the opposite. I'd rather see an overflowing city than see a pile of dead bikes. Feels like something straight out of the movie WALL-E. Bike sharing has become a popular form of transportation around the world. Now in China, the supply of bikes is much greater than the demand. Add new regulations from local governments to lessen the amounts of bikes on streets, and well, now you end up with abandoned, and most of the time, never even used bikes, all sitting piled up in graveyards all across the country. Now, if you find one, this isn't a treasure chest. Leave it alone. This is a one-way trip to tetanus, so don't climb and explore. Don't be like DW from that one episode of Arthur where she cuts her leg on the can. She's in the garbage thing. Now remember. That's what drones are for, okay? That's what I'm for. Photographer Wu Guoyang captured drone footage of 15 massive bike graveyards, and they're all equally as haunting. The photographer claims that we're literally throwing away bikes, and that doesn't seem right. I have to agree. Give me like 3 of them. I had 2 stolen when I was younger, so 2 wouldn't hurt. That's all I'm saying. And finally, number 1. Bird drones. We'll finish on a weird one, right? Why not? That's what we're here for. Bird drones is not a new concept by any means, but back in the early 60s, the CIA had this secret program called Project Aqualine, where they used these large drones with a low radar cross-section and a little camera, all that cool spy stuff, and then they got caught. Obviously, it didn't look like a bird at all. They began working on it in 1965, and the first prototype, well, it was a bit obvious, wasn't it? It weighed over 100 pounds, it was this massive eagle, but the only way to catch it was to fly it into a net, which broke something every single test flight, so didn't work. We left it for a while. But now, cut to 2022, yeah, there's for sure a drone pigeon out there watching you somewhere. Olivia just did a couple lists on hidden cameras, so birds and drones, probably, someone's probably thought about it. People don't even think birds are real. They think those are drones, so if you're one of those people, I'm sorry, this video definitely did not help you. But if you're not one of those people, hit thumbs up, hit subscribe, and come back. We'd love to see you. Keep thinking that birds are real. That's great.
Watergate. The whole Watergate scandal is an iconic episode in American history, which emerged from the depths of political intrigue and skullduggery. In 1972, 5 individuals were apprehended while breaking into the Democratic National Committee headquarters at the Watergate office complex in Washington, D.C. Yet this was merely the tip of an iceberg of deception and malevolence. As the investigative tendrils extended, the nation learned that this break-in was just one facet of a vast conspiracy woven by figures linked to President Richard Nixon's re-election campaign, the Committee to Re-elect the President. A dark web of misdeeds unfurled, encompassing illicit wiretapping, espionage, campaign finance violations, and desperate attempts to cloak these sins in the shadow. The crescendo of this tale arrived with the revelation of the White House tapes. These recordings, captured by Nixon's Oval Office systems, delivered incontrovertible evidence of the president's entanglement in the cover-up. The dire consequence was Nixon's resignation on August 8, 1974, an unprecedented event in American politics that forever etched Watergate into our collective memory. At number 9 is VHS for sale. This eerie VHS tape is unearthed from the depths of an estate sale, which unfolds in a spine-tingling mystery that has left viewers baffled and unsettled. Among a trove of seemingly mundane items, this mysterious recording surfaces, offering a perplexing journey through a wooded expanse, innocuous enough during daylight. But it's when the nightfall that shrouds this footage in an ominous veil where the ordinary morphs into something far more sinister. Our unease is amplified as an undefinable ghostly entity is dragged ominously through the darkness. What is that mysterious and pale apparition, and why is it being dragged? The FBI warned about the consumption of such haunting footage tapes, hinting at something beyond our comprehension. There you venture into this unsettling realm of the unexplained. Proceed with caution, for the boundaries of the ordinary blur here, and what lies within may forever haunt your thoughts. If you're enjoying this video so far, you can support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Most Amazing, and ringing that notification bell. I would really appreciate it if you did. At number 8 is the Chernobyl footage. In the shadowy realm of haunting found footage tapes, one chilling entry stands out: the Chernobyl footage. This eerie relic transports us back to the late 1980s, when the Chernobyl nuclear power plant became synonymous with disaster. On April of 1986, This date marked the horrific explosion and inferno that engulfed the plant, a cataclysmic result of an ill-faceted experiment aimed at bolstering reactor safety. Tragically, the reactor's design placed immense responsibility in the operator's hands, leading to this catastrophic cascade of events. The resulting radiation release sent alarms ringing as the Forsmark nuclear power plant in Sweden, over 1,000 kilometers away, underscoring the gravity of the situation. The footage at hand here offers a mere glimpse into the post-explosion desolation. At number 7 is this siren. That's right, a real found footage of a real mermaid, but this ain't Ariel, y'all. This creepy mermaid, or whatever that bizarre aquatic entity is, raises some spine-tingling questions. See, one might have harbored a romanticized notion of meeting a mermaid, but after witnessing this unsettling footage from 2018, it's safe to say that those dreams have sailed. In the footage, we find ourselves at a mysterious dock, confronted by a creature that defies description. Its mermaid-like tail hints at a connection to folklore, yet its overall appearance is far from human. Perhaps the creature sensed the camera's graze and hastily retreated into the depths, leaving us all with unanswered inquiries. Is this truly a mermaid, or does it belong to some hidden corner of marine biology? The most perplexing aspect is the deafening silence from official channels. If such enigmatic being actually roams our oceans, then why the silence from the powers that be? The absence of the information about these underwater oddities leaves us pondering about how many other eerie secrets lurk beneath the waves.
Es una mujer. Es una mujer tan guapa y... Cabeza. Me está llamando. Voy.
Hey.
No, no.
Dame la cámara.
¿Viste eso? ¿Viste la mujer que estaba ahí?
Sí, sí, sí. No me grabes, dame la cámara.
Se fue.
At number 6. Demon chair. It's not your typical comfy couch or soothing rocking chair, but rather a chilling encounter with the unexplained. In this unsettling footage, a seemingly innocuous used chair takes on a life of its own. Its owner must have been blissfully unaware of what was about to unfold, because as we watch this video, we see what looks like my grandmother's rocking chair that appears to move on its own, a cozy addition to the home or a gateway to the supernatural. While we can't definitively confirm the authenticity of this video, one thing remains clear. This haunting found footage tape continues to captivate our imaginations and make us question the boundary between the mundane and the paranormal.
Number 5. Villa de Vecchi. Villa de Vecchi is located near Camp Como, Italy. The House of Witches dates back to 1854 to 1857, when it was built as a summer house for Count Felix de Vici. The family was only able to spend a few years there, as they had tragedy after tragedy right after it was built. First, the architect died a year after construction. Then in 1862, Count de Vici came home to discover his wife dead and his daughter missing. When he could not find her after a year of searching, he died by ending his own life. His brother then moved into the home, and his family continued to live there until World War II. Now, it has been vacant since the 1960s, and an avalanche in 2002 wiped out all the houses in the area except this one. Now, you'd think with all the tragedies surrounding the house that it would succumb to the avalanche, but no. Let me just say, that is so freaky. Now, the inside of the house today is covered in dust and most notably has graffiti all over the walls. Number 4. Willard Asylum for the Chronic Insane. The Willard Asylum for the Chronic Insane is a listed building on the U.S. National Register of Historical Places, and it first opened its doors in about 1869. The campus was divided between a women's side and a men's side, with a violent end and non-violent end. Administration buildings sat in the middle, and the land had originally been designated for agricultural purposes, so the hospital ran its own farm with crops grown and tended by the patients. Now, patients were unconfined, able to walk about as they pleased, but there were entire buildings devoted to treatments like electroshock therapy and ice baths, as well as operating theaters and a morgue. A cemetery on the grounds features markers with numbers, no names for the thousands buried there. Now, after Geraldo Rivera's 1972 expose on the deplorable conditions at Willowbrook Asylum, numbers in large institutions declined sharply. Willard Asylum discharged its final patient in 1995 and shuttered its doors for good. The building is currently rotting and decayed, housing the secrets of what the patients went through. Number 3. Ridge's Asylum. Ridge's Asylum originally opened in 1874 and was known as the Athens Asylum for the Insane. It had 2 wings, one for the female patients and one for the male patients. Now, the most violent patients were housed at the outermost tip of each wing. By the start of the 1900s, the asylum had become dangerously overcrowded, and rumors of inhumane treatment at the hands of the overworked staff were growing. Despite this, it was not officially closed until 1993. Now, some parts of the building are still in use, while other areas are completely abandoned. Now, one of the scariest places in the building is the outline of a body where Margaret Schrilling died in 1979. She apparently got lost in the disused part of the hospital in the winter of 1978-79 and was not found for more than a month. When the corpse was finally removed, it left a stain that could never be washed away. It's still there today, and if you go there, you can see it, which is just haunting. Margaret is one of the many ghosts who is said to walk the asylum at night. Strange figures have been seen roaming around old floors, and others have heard disembodied voices, footsteps, and screaming. It's a scary and disgusting place, and I would never set foot in there. Number 2. El Hotel de Salto. In San Antonio del Tequendama, Colombia, a 1920s residential mansion was constructed overlooking the falls. For 60 years it operated as a hotel, and it was built in 1923 as a luxury hotel to host elite travelers visiting the area. Ordered and built by the President of Colombia and designed by architect Carlos Arturo Tapes, the hotel was a place for the richest to gather and indulge in most exceptional experiences. Now, it was meant to be renovated in the 1950s, but due to pollution of the Bogota River, the project was dismissed. In the 1970s, sewage started affecting the river, so the hotel closed in the early 1990s as a result of the overwhelming pollution in the river. Now, some reports state that it's the second most polluted river worldwide, as the river is full of feces, waste, chemicals, and many other toxic things. Over the years, the hotel began to deteriorate until it was left deserted altogether. Today, the hotel is said to be haunted, and this is owing to the fact that many people have used its location as a place to end their life. It's also said that Muisca Indians used to jump into the falls to evade capture from Spanish conquerors. The myth is that those who jumped would turn into eagles and soar to freedom, and sadly this appeared to most wanderers, who would then leap to their death. This place is just full of tragedy. And coming in at number 1 is the Diplomat Hotel. The Dominican Hill Retreat House was built in 1913 atop a hill in the famed Philippine city of Pines. With the outbreak of World War II, it became a camp for refugees escaping the Japanese army, but it was eventually invaded. It was once occupied by refugees, nuns, and soldiers, but it was bombed by the American Armed Forces. People were taken advantage of and mistreated, tormented, and had their heads cut off. In the 1970s, the Wharton building was converted to the sophisticated and beautiful Diplomat Hotel, but the hotel was shut down by the 80s and left abandoned. The deserted, deteriorating building became infamous for being one of the most haunted ruins in the country. Currently, the old hotel is now under rehabilitation by the national government as a heritage and nature park. Now, many people have seen headless apparitions at night and reported hearing screams, cries, banging on doors, and other strange and desperate noises. Some believe the building is haunted by the restless spirits of its grim history, and that makes the most sense.
Up at number 10, we have The Purge. I think the more footage I see from Ring doorbells, my fear of the dark has only intensified. Those things never seem to catch anything nice. There's a Reddit user who further made me want to never leave my house in the dark. The user that goes by the fabulous username of Fat and Depressed shared that between the hours of 12 a.m. and 4 a.m., he got 4 notifications on his phone that his doorbell had detected a visitor. Immediately upon seeing those, I would absolutely be unsettled. When he checked the doorbell's camera the first 3 times, there was nothing. He went on to say that he was thinking it was some sort of stray dog or cat or animal of some kind setting off the motion sensor. That was until the 4th notification came along. This time when he checked the camera, a face showed up on the screen. He also posted a photo of said face, and oh man, not what you want looking back at you at 4 a.m. It looked like a guy in his 50s with a face that appeared to be painted white. It could have just been the night lighting on the camera, but his face was white. He also looked like he was wearing black eyeliner all the way around his eyes, and he was standing with his hands behind his back. It seriously looked like a scene from The Purge. Number 9, clowns. Remember the creepy clown epidemic in like 2014 that had people dressing like clowns and making us all scared to leave our houses? Well, you can imagine the chilling security footage that came with that phase. One video in particular comes from none other than Jacksonville, Florida, and whether it was a prank or not, I don't like the video regardless. The footage comes from a home security camera and it shows the porch of a house with an extremely creepy looking clown standing there looking at the camera. The clown is dressed in an all-white clown jumpsuit, white face, and some clown makeup not suitable for a children's birthday party. For most of the video, the clown just stands there staring at the camera, only moving slightly to tilt his head further to the side. Then the clown decided to take the poor homeowner's pumpkin and start punching it quite aggressively, I have to say. I'm sure when they woke up and saw that video, they wished they never had. Without the security camera, they would have just noticed their pumpkin smashed, but no, thanks to technology, they got to watch a creepy clown stare into their eyes while doing it. I think if I saw this video on my porch, I would be moving out right away. Number 8. Where's the exit? User Dr. Beso on Reddit shared a story that just might send a shiver up your spine. He said that he worked as a doctor in a UK hospital, and on a particularly quiet night shift, the nurses told him a story of another doctor at the hospital. The story went that the doctor was running to a crash call when a woman stopped him to ask which way the front entrance was. The doctor directed the woman and kept hustling to the patient. When he got there, he said it was the woman who had stopped him to ask for directions. The woman ended up not making it in the end, but they just had to check the security footage. The whole encounter was caught on the cameras, except the story told on the footage has a slight difference to the one the doctor shared. The camera showed him running, stop midway down the hall, and gesture to the exit while saying something. The only problem was there was no woman on the video. I don't even know how you could explain that one. I hope they gave that doctor a nice long weekend after that. At number 7, stolen phone. This person shared a story that started as a stolen phone and ended in a creepy mystery. He said that they had to call the cops while his girlfriend's cell phone was stolen off the porch of their apartment. He explained that the apartment is a room sectioned off on the first floor of an old mansion with a fenced-in porch. When the officer arrived, he asked to see the surveillance tapes, and the maintenance man let them come along to help the cops with the timestamps to narrow down the footage. Unfortunately, they did not see the person who took his girlfriend's phone. That being said, right about the time they expected to see someone grab the phone, they did see a man. Apparently it was not a resident, as there are only 4 and they all know each other in the building. The man appeared to be running frantically from something, and at full force he entered the only door of the building and never left. Even after over 24 hours of footage. I would have simply left all my belongings behind and found a new apartment after that. Number 6, out of thin air. Etchy shared on Reddit that he was one of the people going through footage from security cameras outside of Pulse nightclub before, during, and after the horrible tragedy that happened there in 2016. While I'm sure all of the footage was quite disturbing, he also claimed to have found something a little supernatural. He said there were so many sad and disturbing things to be seen. The strange one, however, was a wounded man that appeared out of nowhere. Apparently the mystery man waved his hands for help and cops came over to carry him to safety. Etchy shared that he tried numerous times to rewind and find where the man came from, but he was either just there or he wasn't. He didn't crawl to where he ended up, he just appeared. I bet anything that he was sitting with that footage for ages, going back and forth frame by frame, slowly driving himself crazy. I don't know how he ever stopped rewatching it. I think I would have just become consumed by the mystery of it all.
Number 5, Chicago Creeper. Have you ever felt like someone was watching you? Jack McKencher and his girlfriend Jordan Baranxis didn't, so I'm glad they had security cameras installed. The couple ended up being terrified after going through the footage to settle an argument about a missing purse. Now they did find out where Jordan's purse had gone, but they found out something way worse. A man later named the Chicago Creeper or the Bucktown Burglar watched them as they watched TV and later went to sleep. He then slowly made his way around the house without waking them up or their dogs and managed to leave with Jordan's purse in hand. Now I can't imagine knowing someone was in your house while you were asleep. Thankfully, only stealing the purse was the only thing the man did, because it could have been way worse, so remember to always lock your doors. Number 4, the lurking man. On July 31st, 2022, Jojo Ramirez was coming home with her son when a man followed them home. They enter the house and she could be heard telling him to take a shower, and she locks the door. Right when she shuts the door, you can see a man appear following behind them and trying to get into the house. Then she looks at the window to see the man standing there. He tries opening the door and looking through the window, and it's just unsettling because he doesn't blink at all during the entire video. She then realizes the man is there and yells at him to get out of here. He then backs up and you can see more of his body, and his hands are behind his back as it appears that he's trying to hide something, perhaps a weapon. She then contacted the police and they took care of it. She posted the video from her Ring camera online and captioned the post, "This happened to me on 8/31, be careful of your surroundings. Luckily I locked the door before he attempted to open the door." Number 3. Dobby. Late one night in 2019, Colorado resident Vivian Gomez posted a video of a strange sight her home security camera captured. Internet users were quickly to point out that the creature has a passing resemblance to everyone's favorite house elf, Dobby from the Harry Potter films, but it still didn't explain what it was. Now, the leading theory is that the figure is Vivian's young son dancing with underwear on his head, and one outlet even enlisted him to recreate the footage and try to put the theory to bed. Her son, though, denies that it was him, so what was this creature? Personally, I don't think it's him, because if you look at the footage, the creature is lanky and its knees bend funny. I don't think it's a human, and I fear we'll never know what this creature is. Number 2. Calculated attack. Two thugs dressed in masks, hoodies, and gloves were caught on CCTV footage carrying a baseball bat and creeping up to a home on the New South Wales Central Coast at 4 a.m. on January 22, 2020. The two offenders scoped the property and approached the house from a concealed back door only accessible by rock steps through the thick bushland at the back of the house. Now, the thieves woke a female resident in the house who walked down the hallway to turn on the outside lights to deter them. Instead, the two felons hid behind the house and waited for her to leave back to her bedroom before sneaking around to the back door. One of the burglars watched through the doorway while the other took a baseball bat and started smashing the glass door, causing the female homeowner to scream in horror. The man hit the glass 9 times, breaking a small hole in the door and reaching his hand inside before both men fled the house. The female resident said that she was scared that the men were targeting her, as she had been alone in the house for the previous 2 weeks while her partner was working out of town. Trent Southwell, director of private investigation from Team Safeguard, said the attack was carefully planned. It's not random, being the time in the morning, the way they've turned up, the way they've covered their faces with hoodies, the baseball bat, the backpack. There's a lot more intent there than just a random attack at a house that's already got cameras as well. Now, that is just truly terrifying. And coming in at number 1, are you sure? Now, this footage scares me to my core. It shows a man approaching a house and repeatedly knocking on the door while repeating, "I just have a couple questions for you, are you sure?" This goes on for a couple minutes before a man responds over the Ring doorbell. At this point, the footage turns all the more unsettling as the man at the door says he wants to take advantage and end the life of the woman inside the house. The footage was shared by Amanda Nowak of Las Vegas, and according to Amanda, she was inside the house during the entire encounter. The man never saw her and was never actually speaking directly to her during these tense 3 minutes, and thankfully the man has been arrested, but that doesn't make the footage any less unnerving.
Next up, we have wall holes. This video, uploaded by the YouTuber Kaufman, just came out recently, and I think it's well worth a watch. I like this one because it's just simple but effective. I find the backrooms themselves far more eerie than the weird monsters and the party goers and all that. Just give me this open space with dull yellow lighting, buzzing of the overhead lights, and some mysterious, dark, ominous areas that are just unlit for some unknown reason. Maybe some strange noises in the distance, and I'm uncomfortable already. And here we get exactly that. You also hear the person behind the camera whispering indistinguishably throughout the entire video, which gives the video this still unsettling quality while also being kinda hypnotic at the same time. It almost lulls you into a sense of calm, and then you get the ending. I don't want to spoil it for you though, so it's nothing crazy or anything, but it just sends a slight shiver up your spine. This next one was uploaded by YouTuber Reverse Logic and is simply titled Backrooms Found Footage. What I love about this one is how realistic the depiction of the backrooms looks. Some backrooms videos have a tendency of looking a little too strange and video game-esque, but this one has that perfect blend of realism with something just slightly off about the office space's layout that makes it feel unnerving. We get our cameraman who falls into the backrooms and spends most of the video moving through the large, dully lit, empty spaces, but what sets this one apart is the downright bone-chilling entity that seems to be stalking him through the empty halls. This thing is nightmarish, far creepier than the standard wiry, computer-generated entity you typically see. It's ghostly and oddly shaped, but still looks like something that could exist in our three-dimensional reality. Really off-putting stuff. At number 3, we have level 232. This one was uploaded by YouTuber Ruster and takes place in a unique setting, a large empty grocery store. This is an even more familiar environment than the empty office building we typically see in Backrooms videos. Most of us spend a fair amount of time at the grocery store, but that familiar setting feels nightmarish when you make it completely void of people and make the length of the space seemingly endless. Empty aisles upon empty aisles with no end in sight. You also hear old-timey music echoing through the space, which adds another surreal layer to the whole thing. At one point, our cameraman reaches the sliding doors that are the exit, but they won't open, and at his feet are what look to be various tools other unfortunate souls have used in an attempt to pry the doors open. And then an alarm goes off, all the lights are cut, and now we're just standing in silence. Nothing but a faint echo of someone or something begins to emanate from the depths of the darkness, and what comes out of it, you'll just have to watch find out. At number 2, we have another pretty well-known Backrooms video from Kane Pixels, found footage number 2. We start with the camerawoman placing several items into a taped off portion of the floor. The items simply go right through the concrete into some unknown space below, and she falls into the floor, ending up in the terrifying realm of the Backrooms. You get some really haunting imagery here. She enters into a room where there are these chairs with legs that are just too long, sitting alone in the middle of the large room. She enters a large area where there's a car that's been smashed up and is kind of formed into the wall, and she comes across one of those harrowing entities that just makes you shudder. What's really impressive here, again, is how real it all looks. Kane Pixels videos look like they were really shot in a large empty office space and then maybe enhanced with CG for certain parts, but it all looks like it was shot in camera to me, which is pretty fantastic. Of course, the VHS grain and low quality helps mask the computer generated elements, but still very, very well done. And at number 1, we have level 122. This one is absolutely fantastic. Props to Ruster once again here. This is one of the coolest Backrooms videos I've ever seen. It just feels like you're watching an actual nightmare play out on screen. We start with our cameraman entering into what looks to be a darkly lit parking garage. He finds an escalator, and as he begins ascending it, lights from above slowly begin turning on, and the few that were on below in the parking garage turn off, just leaving nothing but darkness down there. This video does a great job of creating this ominous suspense as he enters into different areas, and lights slowly turn on. You start to feel a sense of unease. Your mind starts coming up with images of what you might see as your eyes attempt to adjust to the new environment. Is that a person in that dark corner over there? Is very effective, and you get a few different eerie environments. Here he finds himself in an empty shopping mall that looks like it's right out of the early 90s. There's something warped and off about it, and then he ends up in a subway station. He enters into a dark room, and he tries to turn around back to safety. The mall's just gone. It's just a subway platform now. Again, very confusing and dreamlike.